that you can hear me, that you can see me, but especially you can hear me because the audio has been acting funny. If there are any audio issues, let me know. Actually, let me just do a quick test to see if the audio is coming through. Hold on just 1 second. Or just jump in the chat, let me know. Going to talk today about my trip. I talked about this yesterday. Chat, let me know. There we go, it's coming through. Hello, Linking Atlas. How's it going? I am doing well. How are you doing? Thank you for being here. Here to chat about Freemasonry. Good morning, Jim Rat M7M. I hope you're doing well also. Thank you for being here as well. It's been a little while since I've obviously done a 1 p.m. weekday stream. Normally, I do these 1 p.m. and 1 a.m. Monday through Friday. I was traveling last week, though, so sadly, I could not do it. But I'm back, and I'm glad that life is great for you. Well, Linking Atlas, give me a super chat, and maybe I'll have some money to invest in silver. Obviously, I cannot give financial advice. I'm the worst person to ask for financial advice. Just look at my bank account. But consider doing a super chat to help me out. Life is good, Jim Rat. Thank you for asking. Linking Atlas, I'm doing well. Michael Moore, welcome. Afternoon. Don't forget, Michael, you did win the quiz during the members only live stream. So I do have to send you your item. But if you do come to Windsor, I can give it to you in person. We have our Christmas cookie contest Wednesday morning. You can join us for that. Or you can join us for the installation of Harmony Lodge on Saturday. Or I can try to drop them off for you maybe when I'm down in Detroit, which might actually be this weekend as well. Thank you, Linking Atlas. I try to be. I don't always succeed, but I do try my best. We're just hanging out today. About an hour in, I'm going to start talking about my trip that I just took. And some of the things I kind of learned from it, or some of the things that I took back from my visit to the Grand Lodge of, United Grand Lodge of England, Freemasons Hall in Scotland, the AVDA Awards, all that good jazz. I know many people are in wheelchairs and full of energy and optimistic. Being in a wheelchair, I think sometimes people overestimate the impact it has on somebody's personality. Sometimes it can make you, I don't think it affects, I think if you're a grumpy guy out, not in a wheelchair, you'll be a grumpy guy in a wheelchair and vice versa. So, but welcome everybody. Thank you for being here. Please consider taking a moment, hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, consider doing a super chat, just 99 cents. And let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry. I do these streams every Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. and 1 a.m. So. And the first hour, though, I just hang out and I wait to see who wants to jump in the chat and who wants to say hello. The second hour, I'm going to talk about my trip to United Kingdom, specifically London, Newcastle, and Edinburgh. Thank you, Jennifer. That's incredibly kind of you. How is it going for you, Jennifer? Do you have any thoughts on Freemasonry? Did you find this stream through searching about Freemasonry, etc., etc.? How'd you find us? And do you have any thoughts on Freemasonry? Let me make sure we're getting all the messages. There we go. Cool. Well, let me know if you have any questions. I've been a Freemason since 2007, so almost 20 years, which is crazy to think it's been that long. I don't, I don't speak for every Mason or every Freemason. There's obviously different opinions that people have, including within Freemasonry, that people have about it. I can tell you kind of my story, or even I do know some of the general history of it. Obviously, as most people know, it is a fraternal, well, It's not exclusively fraternal. There is Freemasonry for men and Masonic organizations and Freemasonry for women. But most people think of it as a fraternal organization. Certainly, the biggest side of it is the fraternal side of Freemasonry. And it was founded in, well, depending on the date, I usually go June 24th, 1717. That's when the Grand Lodge of England was founded. And so for over 300 years, it has been a social and civic group around the world. Right. But when you think about Freemasonry, the best way to think about it is as a social group or a civic group or a civic club. No different than any other group or club of people that get together with common interests. If that made sense. If it didn't, I can try to explain again. But I mean, if you have any questions, because it's tough, Jennifer, to just speak about it in general. Like, are there any specific questions you have about Freemasonry? And thank you again for the sub. I really appreciate it. Thank you for being here. Appreciate that as well. Hello. Hello, Zach So. Welcome, Zach So. Thank you for being here. I hope you hit the like and subscribe button. What are the perks of membership? That's a great question. Honestly, it's different for everyone because everyone is joining for a different reason. Thank you, Zach Sell. So, for example, one of the perks for me personally is my grandfather, well, both my grandfathers and my father are Freemasons, but my grandfather on my dad's side joined before I was born. So I never got to meet him. Being a Freemason, though, does make me feel closer to him. I just visited actually his Masonic building and Masonic Hall in Haltwhistle, England. And that was a very moving experience. But that's a perk that's unique to me. Not everybody will have that perk because many people who join don't have any family members who are Freemasons. Another perk is there is a social safety net quality to being a Freemason. I've known at least two Masons who would have been homeless were it not for benevolence stepping in. So brothers stepping in and assisting paying the rent or the mortgage for the brother while he was struggling. That not only was a perk for him, there's a perk for his whole family who kept them in the home. I am not from the UK, but my father is from the UK. I'm from Canada. For a lot of people, it's a perk is you get to meet people and develop a social safety net. Many, newer Canadians or newer like immigrants to a country will join a Masonic lodge to make friends quickly. You develop skills in terms of things like memory work, running meetings. Some people just like the feeling of being part of a historical group, and some people really enjoy that. Right? Some people enjoy the access they have to historical books. Because, for example, within Freemasonry, if my lodge, for example, it's 100 and something years old, and so we have registers dating back 100 years of past members, minutes, accounts. If you're historically inclined, if you like history, then you might want to check out those books just because you enjoy the opportunity to read those things. So the perks are different depending on your personality and why you want to join and what you hope to get from it. Well, this isn't a recruitment channel comb over, Chris, because I don't believe in recruiting. I just talk about why I love Freemasonry and what some of the perks can be. Somebody asked me that. This is also not about exposing inner workings and conspiracies because that stuff is all nonsense as well, comb over. Unfortunately, there are no inner workings or conspiracies. I'm sorry, Heather, that your dad and your grandparents passed away. It will be hard this Christmas, but I hope that there are still people around you that you can spend time with. It sucks though, losing your dad, losing your grandparents. I cannot imagine how tough that would be. So Glenn1254, I do not have a spider on my head because I can see my face right here. But what you can do, Glenn1254, is hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. Same thing with you, K1654, hit like and subscribe. Comb over, please hit like and subscribe and let me know what you think the inner workings and conspiracies are regarding Freemasonry. So does it help in overcoming any spiritual, psychological issues? Um, yes, I think that depends on the individual, linking Atlas, right? There are many Masons. Well, I mean, I'm trying to think of how to answer that question. Certainly, all of the evidence shows that being lonely or being alone has incredibly negative health effects for an individual. Actually, the Surgeon General of the States 2 years ago put out an entire report about the dangerous health effects of being lonely, of being alone. There was a study which is really fascinating that said if you suffer, let's say, a stroke or a heart attack, and you're in the hospital, you are 2.5 times more likely to have either a secondary stroke and heart attack or pass away if you get no visitors than if you get visitors, if you have people visiting you. And obviously, one thing we do in Freemasonry is visit our brothers in the hospital. So it certainly helps overcome physical and health issues. To the extent that it helps to overcome emotional and spiritual, I think having a group to support you will do that in the same way it helps you overcome physical challenges. To know people care about you, want you to be okay, that's a really big deal, and that can really help people. So that's what I would say. Kay, I don't know what you mean by slavery other than I'm opposed to slavery. I am here on the stream proud to say I am opposed to slavery. So take that for whatever it's worth. I know that might be a controversial opinion, but I'm opposed to slavery. Alice, I fancy a like and subscribe and a super chat. So Alice, please hit the like button, the subscribe button, and consider a 99-cent super chat. Well, so linking Alice, there is no direct connection. So Freemasonry evolved from stone masonry and evolved from stonemasons, right? Stonemasonry goes back really millions of years. It goes back to before there were humans, to our ancient ancestors. But certainly the pyramids are one of the greatest and most well-known examples of stone masonry in the world. So it makes sense that within Freemasonry, we would look back on our stone Masonic forefathers, including those from ancient Egypt, with a certain level of respect and reverence. Beyond that, as Freemasonry was developing, hello Omelette, please hit like and subscribe. As Freemasonry was developing, as it was developing its rituals, as it was developing its ceremonies, it was a time when ancient Egypt and Egyptology was incredibly popular especially amongst kind of the nobility, quote unquote, or the upper crust of society. It was a time when you'd have Englishmen traveling to Egypt and raiding tombs of pharaohs, right, King Tut and all that jazz, bringing stuff back to the British Museum. Just throughout the world, ancient Egypt was incredibly popular, and Egyptian motifs were incredibly popular. And so Freemasonry, as a result, incorporated a lot of that into its Masonic ceremonies, Masonic rituals. What's the word I'm looking for? It decorated some of its Masonic buildings. There's usually in a Masonic building that's big enough an Egyptian room, which is decorated in Egyptian motifs and with Egyptian hieroglyphs. But ultimately, it's because of the popularity of ancient Egypt at the time that Freemasonry was developing. In fact, they talk about that at the Field Museum in Chicago, where they mention Freemasonry being ancient Egypt being so popular amongst so many individuals, both in America and England, that Freemasons stole, borrowed, adopted, a lot of Egyptian symbolism in their buildings, even in some of the rituals. So I hope that makes sense to you. Let's give it a bit of time. Let's see who else joins. This first hour, we just hang out and chat about anything. So anything you guys want to talk about, positive, negative, or neutral on Freemasonry, I'd love to hear it. Welcome back, Zach Skull. Zach is back. How's it going? How is your day? As always, don't forget to everybody watching this, hit that like and subscribe. Well, what you can do, angry man, is hit the like and subscribe button before you do anything else. So linking Atlas, let me know if I answered your questions well. If you have any other questions, by all means, please keep them coming. This first hour, I just take questions from the stream. I don't talk about anything specific. The second hour is when I have more specific topics. In this case, going over my trip to beautiful United Kingdom. I have no idea what that means, GRP 4672, but please hit like and subscribe. I will be also back on at 1 a.m. this morning because I find my audience is like me, a bunch of night owls. So that should be fun also. But for now, let's wait to see who joins. And any thoughts you have on Freemasonry. Again, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear them. I've been a Freemason myself since 2007, so it's crazy to think it's been almost 20 years. Time flies. Well, that's okay. I'd appreciate you stopping by nonetheless, even for a few minutes. Boring or not, you can always leave a sub. It's completely free. I'm 100 subs away from 3,000 subscribers. So if y'all want to help me out, I'd very, very much appreciate it. And doing so helps me in my goal of promoting the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located. But for now, let's just wait and see who jumps in the chat to say hello. I'm going to share this stream on a couple of different locations, see if we can get some more people joining. And we're just going to wait to see who jumps in the chat to say hello. This first hour, I just wait to see who wants to chat and wants to hang out. If you have anything specific you want to talk about, please let me know. When it comes to Freemasonry, I'm going to start talking about my main point in a moment. About an hour in, so. Good coffee, by the way. Thank you, Lincoln. By the way, everybody, don't forget, you can still give me, if you so desire, or give the channel a super chat. Just 99 cents helps out big time and would be greatly, greatly appreciated. For now, let's just see who joins. Linking Alice, did I answer your question about Egypt well? Did it make sense? I mean, I feel like this is all I do. I consider myself a bit of a professional traveler and something I'm very proud of doing as well. Outside of that, I enjoy professional wrestling. I train some professional wrestling, some MMA. Um, I enjoy scary movies. I enjoy scary anything, to be honest. That's probably my favorite thing in the world. Scary anything is something I love. So there is that as well. What would you say, Linking Atlas, is the thing that interests you most within Freemasonry or about Freemasonry? That makes sense, just knowing about it. I think it's Freemasonry is one of those things that's kind of fun to know about, right? I think it's one of those things where, for a lot of people, knowing about Freemasonry, they enjoy learning about it. It's kind of like, I don't know, anything else, like any other interest people have. What they enjoy is just learning about it and knowing about it, if that makes any sense. Well, I mean, Freemasonry doesn't talk about horror stuff per se. Um, but I mean, many Freemasons enjoy scary things. It just depends on the Freemason, right? Horror is one of those genres which I love because I love all things scary. I love, the Freddy Kruegers, the Jasons, the Michael Myers. So that is something I do enjoy talking about. I've talked about that primarily on my other channel, my personal channel, youtube.com/Cameron Adamson. It's actually one of my favorite things to talk about. But Freemasonry, I mean, there's been some horror movies that have Masonic connections, like the most famous example being From Hell, which starring Johnny Depp, which is a movie that I love. So there is that. Mike Seven, I mean, not what's the word I'm looking for? Not officially. Like it's not a requirement, right? Having said that, right? Having said that, I've known examples of times when Freemasons have helped a brother find work. I mean, it's one of those things where being a Freemason, by definition, your social circle increases. You know more people, especially if you're active as a Freemason, you know more people. Um, and so, of course, as a consequence of that, if you are looking for work, you have more people you can approach, more people you can talk to. And I have seen Masons assist others in finding work. I've also seen Masons assist brethren who are out of work, give them money to help pay for their, give them money to help pay for their rent or provide food or help their family. So sometimes they can help them find work. Very often, though, they have benevolence to assist them with expenses that they're dealing with for a while. It's been, well, you should not be homophobic. That's not a cool thing to be. I, for one, have no issues with the LGBT community. Being homophobic is a silly thing to be. And you should not be doing that. I'm just going to put you in a timeout. I try not to time people out as a general rule. But in this case, I'm going to put you in timeout. So I mean, but the thing with Freemasonry, right, is it's not just about, just by, again, by its nature, the more people you know, the more opportunities you have to network, to get support, get help if you need it. Many lodges have benevolence funds to help brethren who are struggling financially. So it's one of those things where that's absolutely the case. And I have known brothers who have been looking for work and approached a Masonic brother and have got assistance. So it has happened, but it's not like an official requirement. Um, Hello, Bomb Sir. How is it going? Hey, dude, to you. Troll, this is about Freemasonry. So any thoughts you have on Freemasonry, Troll 19E, positive, negative, or neutral, I'd love to hear them. That's okay, you can dislike. Well, Mike, there's a couple different groups. So you're probably thinking, Mike, of Eastern Star. Eastern Star is for men and women. Um, it is traditionally for women who are related to a Freemason somehow. Could be a mother, daughter, sister, whatever it might be. So that's usually what you're probably thinking of. There's also, though, the Order of Women Freemasons. There is um, Rainbow, which is for young women. And then there's Co-Freemason as well. So there's different groups, but I believe you're thinking of the Eastern Star. Well, I'm allowed to do whatever I so choose, comb over Chris, right? I choose not to talk about the specifics of the ritual ceremony, and I have reasons why I choose not to. Part of it is because I don't want to ruin it for other people who are joining. I feel that if I talk about the experience, it takes something away from them as they are going through it. It's kind of like spoilers. But also, it's a bit like having a family recipe, is how I always use the example of. If you have a recipe that was passed down from your grandparents to your parents to you, you plan to pass it down to your kids. If I'm sharing it online, the danger of that is something everybody knows about it. The bonds between the past and future generations of the family are lessened, because one of the ways you maintain those bonds is through that recipe. Within Freemasonry, we pass down ritual. And if I start to share specifics of ritual, it lessens the bond between past, current, and future generations of Freemasons. Having said that, I can talk about in generalities what it meant to me, how it felt going through it, some of the lessons that I took from it that will be different for everybody. So if you have any questions about that, what I always say, though, I always give this as a general kind of, I always give this as a general kind of caveat, because a lot of people, conspiracy-minded people get confused. I've never within Freemasonry had seen any rituals that were contrary to any civic, spiritual, religious, or family obligations, or that made me feel unsafe in any way. So that is to deal with all the conspiracy theorists out there who jump on the chat and say stuff. Thank you, Bomb Sir. Well, you can help fight back against the dislike by hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe button. Consider doing even a super chat of just 99 cents. That helps majorly with the stream. It's all about getting that engagement and getting people watching. And come back at 1 a.m. tonight, when I will be back on 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Because apparently, my audience is like me, a bunch of night owls. So and we're just going to wait to see who else jumps in the chat to say hello. First hour, I just hang out and wait to see who wants to talk. So, don't forget, coming up, I have a 24-hour live stream scheduled for the 21st of December. So in about 3 weeks, which will be exhausting, I have no doubt. But I've done them before and I love them. So I hope you'll join me for my 24-hour live stream. And let's give it a bit of time. Let's, as always, see who joins. Comb over, Chris, do you have any specific questions about the initiation? Again, I don't give specifics, but that's not to say that's not to say that I can't answer general questions. I'm not sure what you mean by that, linking Atlas. Do Freemasons believe in living? I think, and I know some Freemasons who are big into nature and they love going camping. They love being outdoors. They go bike riding. They do all this crazy stuff. They love being outside. I know a lot of Masons, though, who don't. It really just depends on the Freemason himself and his own proclivities and his own kind of ideas. I think you could argue within Freemasonry, there's a lot of borrowing from Stoic philosophy. And within Stoic philosophy, one of the main kind of contentions is that we should live in accordance with nature, right? But that doesn't mean we have to, live in the bush, spend all our time camping. It means live in understanding of what the rules of nature are. No, we do not. I mean, I say we, I'm not a high-ranking Mason. Well, I guess it depends. The highest ranking with Freemasonry is the 3rd degree. A lot of people think it's 33rd. Some people think it's even higher than that. It's not. It's the 3rd degree. And we cannot, within Freemasonry, predict the 3rd degree. Predict the future. That kind of started with this guy there was this hoax where people claim that Albert Pike predicted 3 world wars, which is not the case. It was a hoax. But ever since then, there's this prediction that there's this myth that this Masonic, kind of a famous Mason called Albert Pike, in the 18th century predicted the first 2 world wars and was going to predict the 3rd one, or predicted a 3rd one that should be coming up soon. But that is just not the case. Hello, VIP Luan. VIP, if you want to be a very important person, what you can do is hit the like and subscribe button. That will make you a VIP for sure. And you can consider doing a super chat of just 99 cents. VIP, I do this channel, talk about Freemasonry. Do you? Well, then thank you so much, VIP. That makes you a very important person indeed. How is it going? Sorry, I always forget who's on and who's not subscribed. I should do a better job at remembering that. Having said that, VIP Luan, how's it going? Hello, Dark Pixel. Welcome back. I do remember the name Dark Pixel. Good. I just got back from United Kingdom. I don't know if you follow me on my socials or anywhere else, but I did post a bunch of pictures from my travels, so I hope that you found those. And by all means, always feel free to comment on anything I post, not just on my live streams. But things are going well. Just got back from my trip. I've got a very busy week within Freemasonry coming up. It's going to be quite exhausting, but that's okay. It's also going to be a lot of fun. Um, nice. I mean, I have Instagram. Let me give you the Instagram info. Sorry. Let me see if I can. Oh, man. See if I can give you the socials for Instagram. There it is, at square underscore and underscore compass underscore promotions. So that's my social for Instagram. Instagram.com/at square underscore and underscore compass underscore promotions. I hope you'll check that out. Yeah, a big way to support me and this channel in our efforts of promoting the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located is by following us on our social media accounts. So please do that as well. And as I always mention, subscribing, because I'm just 99 subs away from 3,000 subscribers. Ooh, I'm very sorry to hear that, Dark Pixel. Well, I guess I shouldn't say that, because if you had a surgery, it means you needed a surgery. So I guess what I'll say is I'm sorry that you needed the surgery, but I'm happy that you got it, and I hope that you are recovering well. I know even quote unquote minor surgeries can sometimes require a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? Can require a lot of recovery time, right? I don't think there's any such thing as a minor surgery. Maybe minor for the surgeons, but for the patient, it's probably always a pretty big deal. We're just going to wait to see who else joins. By the way, VIP Luan, have you ever been to United Kingdom? Let me know what you answered or how you answered. I'd be curious to know. I had hand surgery, my bone got loose. Good. I'm glad it got better. Alan, after my father. Welcome, Icon Error. Icon Error. Took me a second there. Icon Error, please hit like and subscribe. I would truly, truly appreciate it. I do want to know your understanding about New Age movement. I am not a big believer in anything New Age. I tend to be very skeptical of it. That's not to say I don't think that there's a possible value. If people find value from it, actually, I've had a guest on the podcast by the name of Black River Meditation, a couple episodes with her, which was really fun. She kind of is into all that stuff, and I encourage you to check out her channel. For me, I'm pretty skeptical of New Age. In my own personal opinion. Interesting enough, though, there's actually a lot of connection between Freemasonry and tarot cards. One of the original designers of the tarot deck, to my understanding, was himself a Freemason. So, and you do see, I had a tarot card reading once, and I was told to beware of a woman who would try to take advantage of me. So, I'm still waiting. If you're out there, feel free to try. What about you, Linking Atlas? What are your opinions on uh, New Age movements like astrology, numerology? I'm sorry that it's ruined your life, Linking Atlas, but what I'll say is your life, your life isn't ruined yet. If you're still here and you're still with us, then there's always a chance to turn things around. As I cough up a storm, there's always the ability to turn things around, and I believe that you will turn it around. So just keep stepping, right? One foot in front of the other, one wheel in front of the other for me. Then just keep working, you'll get there, Linking Atlas. Yeah, again, I don't believe in terror. I mean, I think like if you find them entertaining and enjoyable, um, then good for you. I have no issue with you, enjoying tarot cards and researching them and doing readings. But I think the danger is when you start to take it too seriously or start to base your life and decisions around tarot cards. That strikes me as very dangerous. Psychics as well. Like I'm not going to knock anybody their entertainment, their enjoyment. If they go to whatever, they want to go to a psychic reader, then so be it. But I think if you're doing it for entertainment purposes, that's one thing. If you're doing it because you genuinely think it will give you some type of knowledge that will help you make decisions, you have to be incredibly careful. That strikes me as very, very dangerous. And there's a lot of people have listened to psychic advice and have had their lives damaged as a consequence of that. So I do agree with you. People need to be incredibly careful about all that stuff. Again, like I love ghost tours, I love ghost hauntings, I love paranormal investigations. I love all of that stuff. I think it's incredible. A lot of Masonic buildings have been making a lot of money through paranormal investigations and ghost tours, but that doesn't mean, I take it as anything more than entertainment. I think that's a good way to do it, Linking Atlas. Research, be practical, and be logical. I think that's a good way to approach it. Well, I think it all is kind of um, it all kind of connects to each other. I think my point is I try to take all this stuff as entertainment first and foremost. Like I have a deck of Masonic tarot cards that was created by a lodge in Pennsylvania, which I think is really, really cool. And sometimes I play around with them, but I do it for fun. I'm not making any decisions about like how I'm going to do my stock portfolio on them, right? So if that makes any sense. Not that I have a stock portfolio, but if I did, do you enjoy horror and paranormal stuff, Linking Atlas? And if so, what's your favorite horror and what's your favorite paranormal? Like, do you have a favorite horror movie? Whatever it might be. I'd love to hear it. See, as a scary fan of things scary, I've actually enjoy Ouija boards. One of my favorites, but I think it's not. I don't think spirits are moving that. I think it's we're subconsciously moving it. But I enjoy one of my favorite scary movies is called Ouija, which came out like 2014. It's one of those. A lot of people I think underappreciate that movie. I think it's really really good. What was the one that was the most recent one you saw that you really liked? Just waiting for Linking Atlas. And by the way, anybody who answered the poll question, if you answered yes, you've been to the UK, let me know what you thought of it. Did you enjoy it? What part of the UK did you go to? Oh, I haven't seen that movie yet, but I really want to. Um, I love all things. Like I said, there's been some pretty decent scary movies that have had Masonic connections. The one I can think of most off the top of my head is always going to be From Hell, starring Johnny Depp. I thought it was a great film. Very underrated, very underappreciated. Um, I would love to have Johnny Depp on my podcast at some point. I mean, this is a very small podcast. He's a very big, um, a very big and very important. He's a very big important star. This is a small podcast, but Johnny Depp, if you're ever watching this, please come on my podcast. I want to see Clown Motel. I think it's on Tubi, if I'm not mistaken. So that's 100% on my list of things I want to check out. There's actually is a legitimate Clown Motel. There's a motel in Las Vegas, I think. It's next to a graveyard, and the motel itself is clown themed. And if I do nothing else in my life, I want to live there. That's for sure. Welcome once again. Let's chat about Freemasonry. Any thoughts you have on Freemasonry? Positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love to hear them about it, 13 more minutes from now. One hour in, going to start talking about my trip to England, to United Kingdom, and why I enjoyed it so much and all the fun that I had. I will check it out. There are several videos about Clown Motel. I will check that out for sure. I'd love to, like I said, I love all things spooky. Clowns are scary, as we learned through it. So I will check it out. I mean, interesting enough, there is some interesting connection between Freemasonry and clowns. Well, circuses, I should say, through the shrine. So that's a really cool note as well. We're just hanging out, waiting to see who else jumps in to say hello. We're going to start talking about my trip to the United Kingdom about 1 hour into the stream. I want to, Brother Michael Moore. I want to. By the way, are you going to be finding yourself coming down, up, down? Yes, because you're north of us, which is crazy. Coming down to Windsor, either for Wednesday's cookie contest, we got some cool prizes, or for Wednesday's cookie contest in the morning, 9 o'clock, or the installation on Saturday at 2 p.m. Oh, so it sounds to me like you might be more. You're more a believer in Ouija boards and stuff. Again, I take it all as entertainment. Interesting enough, I went to Johnstown Masonic Temple, or Johnstown Masonic Convention Center, which is an incredible, incredible spot. Beautiful building. They had a they had a Ouija board museum there. They had a paranormal investigation. Um, that's right. Well, congratulations on the installation and no worries at all. They have every year a paranormal expo, which is incredible. And part of that paranormal expo is They had a Ouija board museum last year. It was really, really cool. I'm surprised we don't see more. I'm surprised we don't see more actually Masonic Ouija boards. I feel like that'd be an interesting kind of because a lot of people think we're spooky, anyways. We're not, but a lot of people think we are. So to play up on that, although that might actually not be a good idea because that might just encourage conspiracy theorists. Hello, your local Spurs fan. How's it going? Welcome back. I know it's been a minute since I was streaming, but I am back once again. I had my trip to the United Kingdom, which was a lot of fun, but I'm very happy to be back here once again, um, chatting with all of you good people. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. Anybody who's new to the stream, your local Spurs fan, how is it going for you? We're going to give it another 10 minutes, then we're going to start talking about um, what I have planned, what is coming up for, um, or what my trip was like for my trip to the United Kingdom and some of the maybe Masonic lessons I learned. Have I seen cryptic or horror in real? No, I mean, I saw humans being horrible. I worked in a jail, and I before that I was a probation officer. So it certainly is quite possible for human beings to be quite terrible to one another. Um, and I do believe in that type of horror. One of my favorite quotes from Stephen King is, "There's already plenty of horror on television. It's called the nightly news." But never seen anything supernatural or would lead me to believe there's supernatural elements of horror that exist, or ghost demons or anything like that. Right? That is not something I would believe in. So, I think humans are, when we talk about supernatural, whatever it is, humans are bad enough. I don't think we need necessarily to believe in supernatural. Do you believe in aliens? Um, I do not. I mean, I guess what I'd say is I'm fairly agnostic about this whole thing. Um, so when you talk about do I believe in aliens, I mean, I suspect there must be if we go far enough out in the galaxy. It feels like probably somewhere, but I don't believe aliens have ever visited us, and I believe we are so big in the universe, or the universe is so big that they'd never be able to reach us because there's so few to none except for us civilizations out there that it would be impossible to expect them to find us. Okay, so maybe that's a little bit closer to what I think. Um, but I tend to say, practically speaking, the answer is no. At least I don't believe we'll ever meet any aliens. I think the universe is just too big and life is just too rare. But who knows? And also, my suspicion is there's probably more. Um, there's probably more unintelligent life than intelligent life. Like I could imagine plenty of planets where there's amoebas and bacterias, but the idea of that life ever evolving into something that can build rocket ships and travel around and make contact with other planets, That is something I highly question. I think I've seen some of those reports linking Atlas. Von Daniken, I think, used to say that chariots of the gods. But no, I tend to think human beings are. We have sufficient amount of abilities. We can create things on our own. I don't think we need necessarily aliens to help us out. Yeah, I mean, I've heard stuff like that before, linking Atlas, but I personally don't buy it. I think if aliens did exist in any, sufficient amount that we'd be able to, that they would evolve, we would be able to see them in, they couldn't hide from us. It would just be too obvious because it's kind of one of those things where they're either everywhere or nowhere. I don't know if it's possible to, right? They're either everywhere or they're nowhere. I don't think it's possible where there's, just two or just three. Scientists first start searching and later found only one. So they got it wrong? I mean, ancient tribes, groups, civilizations, they had very advanced astrological observations. They kind of had to, right? They were reliant on the stars, on the heavens for all sorts of things, but to understand, their calendars, when to plant crops, when to move, when to build. I mean, they had to use the changing seasons. They had to have a very advanced understanding of astronomy in order to understand kind of the world around them. It was kind of the first science was astronomy. It's one of the reasons why we in Freemasonry are encouraged to learn more about the liberal arts and sciences, and that includes astronomy, right? It's one of the things we're encouraged to learn more about. That's why I've had NASA scientists on my podcast, and why I've loved having NASA scientists on my podcasts. What do you mean by being in a void, Michael Moore? I've never heard that before. The idea of being in a void. Bear Holloman. I'm going to call you Bear Holler. I'm just calling you Bear. Bear, welcome. Thank you for the wave. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Well, not completely uniformly, but relatively uniformly, I believe. But I certainly think there are, I mean, like everything, it's not completely uniform. However, relatively so. Well, maybe the tribes just observed something we're not aware of, but it doesn't necessarily have to be aliens. Like I said, a lot of these tribes had a great deal of astronomical or astrological knowledge. They kind of had to. Again, it was their calendar. It was the way they oriented themselves, is the way they understood the world around them. Right? It kind of was, in a lot of ways, the very first science was looking up at the stars and mapping them out and mapping the way the planets moved. Looking up was kind of the first scientific endeavor. So, Bear, how's it going? Do you have any thoughts on Freemasonry? Any ideas, comments, positive, negative, or neutral? I'd love to hear them. I just recently took a trip to the United Kingdom. I'm happy to be back, but I was going to talk about that trip, how much I enjoyed it, and what I kind of learned from it along my adventures. Ted East is back. Welcome back, Ted East. I hope you're doing well. Thank you for being here. We got some hearts. That usually means Smokey is in the house. Thank you. If it is Smokey, whomever's doing the hearts, thank you so much for that. Google our solar system in a void. All right, here we go. Our solar system in a void. Oops. Our solar system, the Milky Way galaxy, is located within a vast, low-density region of space called a cosmic void. This local void is not empty, but is a super void that could explain discrepancies in the expansion of the universe, known as the Hubble tension. This finding, supported by echoes from the Big Bang, may lead to a new understanding of cosmology as noted by futurism and live science. Okay, very cool. I did a few. Thank you, Smokey. Yes, get to work. Don't be hanging out here if you got to go to work. But thank you for dropping in. The aliens we see are man-made. What do you mean by the aliens we see are man-made? I'm not quite sure what that means. Having said that, though, thank you. Sorry, thank you, Smokey, for jumping in and saying hello. We're about an hour in. I'll give it a couple more minutes. Then I'll start chatting about my recent trip, some things I learned from it. Welcome back, Witty Troop 6795. How is it going? Thank you for being here as always. I hope you're doing well. Please take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button if you can. If you've already done so, then thank you for being here. How is it going? First stream on a Monday in a week because I was traveling, but now I'm back. So let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry, anything you want to talk about. I'm going to start talking about my trip, some things I learned about it, or some things I learned about Freemasonry on my trip very soon. But I wanted to give people a chance to find me, jump in the chat and say hello. Proof are coming out. Tic Tac UFO. Okay. I've been to Mexico a few times. I've been to I've been to throughout Canada. I live on the border, actually, of Canada and the United States. Where in Mexico, Bear, have you been? Yeah, I would keep away from the New Age. I mean, when I say keep away, again, I don't think you have to keep away from it necessarily, but I think you need to treat it as entertainment. I think it's very dangerous to, make decisions based on, for example, what a tarot card says or what a psychic says. They're selected by others. So you can gift people a membership if you want, Brother Michael Moore, or anybody can gift anybody else a gifted membership. Right? So if you were to do a gifted membership, I think you can select the person or they'll just do it randomly. YouTube will select randomly, but I don't get to select who gets a gifted membership. Well, linking, you can hit the join button. Obviously, though, having said that, I know you. So I live right on the Windsor-Detroit border, Bear. So that's awesome. I know you said you're looking for work. So by all means, that should be your goal. I don't want you to be spending money you don't have. If you want to, you can just become, give a 99-cent super chat or something small. Even that helps out the stream. And by subscribing and sharing this stream and liking and commenting on my posts, all that stuff helps out big time. I can actually see the Windsor-Detroit border from my window right now. So very cool. Well, I think linking Atlas, black magic or psychic attacks, I don't believe that they can legitimately happen. I think people can. It's kind of like that movie Skeleton Key. The extent to which it has any power over you is dependent on how much you believe it, right? So if you choose not to believe in a psychic attack or black magic, then I don't believe it will have any power over you. And also, if you are, feeling physical or mental anguish, due to what you perceive as a black magic or psychic attack, then I think you need to talk to either a doctor or a medical, a mental health professional, therapist, psychologist, psychiatrist, and explain what you're feeling, right? Because who knows? Let me knock on wood. You may be experiencing a heart attack, but you believe it's a psychic attack, and as a consequence, you don't go get the help that you need. So, speak to medical professionals, doctors, psychiatrists, psychologists, and um, don't allow it to have power over you by believing in it. I guess would be my advice on that. Um, well, I mean, I suppose I would say that's very kind of you, Brother Michael. I suppose I'd say linking Atlas in that case, because he did mention above that he wants to become a member, but he's not working at the moment. Um, and that's very kind of you, Michael Moore. So thank you for that. By the way, Michael Moore, if you could send me a message with your address, or if you want, I can just mail something to the Livonia Masonic Temple for you. Um, thank you. Oh, Ted East. Well, there you go. Thank you, Brother Michael Moore, and thank you to Ted East. It's wonderful to have you both on stream. Oh, I thought there's a way that you could set it up. Maybe I'll have to double check that. I believe there's a way that you can get get the selection, but I'll double check on that. But still, thank you so much for that. Oh my gosh, all right, Michael Moore, I appreciate that, but it's okay. You don't have to keep going. You just did 5, which is very kind of you. I mean, I appreciate it. By all means, keep on gifting away. Um, what I will do in honor of that is linking Atlas. I will see if I can gift you a membership or send you something. Actually, what I can do, linking Atlas, is I will gift you a Patreon membership. But that is very, very kind of you, Michael Moore. Thank you so much. By the way, Michael Moore, have you ever visited the United Kingdom? I've seen you in a kilt a few times, so that makes me think that maybe you are, you got some Scottish heritage in you. And I don't know if you saw that I tried my haggis, neeps, and tatties while I was traveling, so I was a good visitor to Scotland. By the way, haggis is pretty decent. I will say that. It tastes to me like really hearty meatloaf. And actually, I know it's a little bit early, but is your lodge, Michael Moore, doing anything for Robbie Burns night? Nice. Are you gonna bring your kilt with you? Just so they know that they can trust you? I think if you wear a kilt over there, you don't need to bring your passport. I'm just kidding, by the way. I'm just kidding. Nobody listen to me, then try to travel to the States with or try to travel to Scotland with just a kilt and no passport, and then get mad at me. Just for the record, that is not how it works. Nice. We have a annual Burns dinner every year. Maybe I'll try to get to it this year or next year, I guess, 2026. Who knows? It'd be fun. Do you do the piping of the haggis? Do you have the whole kit and caboodle? And actually, Michael Moore, before I get on my main um, topic, I have to run to the washroom quickly, but also, out of curiosity, I forget if you've ever told me, are you a fan of Stephen King, the famous author? Because if you are, and this is anybody in Southwest Ontario as well as Michigan, you've got your passports. Hold on, let me get my co-sponsor here, my co-host. The Windsor Masonic Temple in the ballroom has Temple Blooms. They are doing a production of Misery. A really good production. I saw it on the weekend. It was awesome. They are doing one on one on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night. We've actually got Masonic meetings happening at the same time, so it's wonderful to see the Masonic building so in use by so many people. Thursday, Friday, Saturday evening at 7 o'clock, if I recall correctly. So I hope to, if you get a chance, it's $35 at the door, $30 if you order online. Temple Blooms, it's a really good production. Believe me, you'll enjoy it. All right, I'll be back in a moment, but I do have to run to the washroom. Then I'm going to start talking about my trip. Let me just, 2 minutes. Let me leave you with my co-host right here. And I'll be back in a moment. Okay, I made it back. I had to go to the washroom, linking Atlas, but welcome. Thank you for sticking around. I swear sometimes this dude gets more attention than I do. All right, so I do want to talk about my Masonic, my trip recently to beautiful, whole thing, and ours is done by brother. Nice Detroit St. Andrew's Society. So you're going to be rocking out that haggis, that's for sure. So I went to the United Kingdom. I had the absolute pleasure of being there I left on November 23rd and I got back the morning of November 29th. The reason for my trip, well, the excuse for my trip was I was lucky enough to be nominated for the AVDA Awards, the Arcana Veritas Distinction Awards. Let me actually give you the exact description of the Arcana Veritas Awards. Right, the Arcana Veritas Distinction Awards are established to commemorate and celebrate outstanding contributions to Masonic literature. The award is dedicated to writers and authors who've demonstrated exceptional skill and insight in exploring Masonic subjects related to history, symbolism, degrees, rituals, or other subjects within the Masonic teachings. The Arcana Veritas Distinction Awards seek to honor those whose work has not only enriched the Masonic community, but has also contributed to a deeper understanding of the principles and traditions that define Freemasonry. The criteria for the award include evaluating research, clarity, and an ability to contribute to further promoting Masonic knowledge and discourse within the fraternity. Why not, Dan? That's kind of cruel. I loved the United Kingdom. It was incredible. The Arcana Veritas Distinction Awards is facilitated through the Grand Lodge of Scotland. The ceremony took place at Freemasons Hall in Edinburgh, Scotland. This year, there were 3 categories and 3 finalists in each category. Category 1 was Masonic History Book. The nominated finalists were Robert L. D. Cooper, who wrote The Origins and History of Free Gardeners, Marshall J. Kern, who wrote The Master's Emblem Explained for Masons, and Sami Mubayad, East of the Grand Umayyad, Freemasonry in Damascus, 1868 to 1965. Okay, that's great, but I love the United States. I would love to visit Australia and New Zealand, but I also think UK is pretty great. The second category was Masonic Philosophy and Symbolism. Ronald A. Albright, Masonic Commedia, Freemasonry and the Divine Comedy. Julian Rees, Tracing Boards and the 3 Degrees in Craft Freemasonry Explained. Travis Trinka, The Temple and the Vault. And then third category, Masonic White Papers. Cameron Adamson, that's me. I wrote It's More Than a Game. Marshall J. Kern, James Agrabiography, and Matthew Arion Siami, From Stone to Temple, The Psychological Transformation of Identity in Freemasonry. So the awards ceremony itself took place on November 26th, 2025 at Freemasons Hall in Edinburgh, Scotland. And being a finalist, I was allowed to attend. I got 2 seats reserved. And that was kind of my excuse to attend. And I say excuse, I was incredibly honored to be a finalist for my work, to be recognized. I did not win the award, but that's okay. I'll talk about who won the award shortly. But I was still incredibly honored to be a finalist. However, really, there are some other reasons for me to attend as well. Obviously, getting to visit my family was a huge part of it. My um, Donnie 55. What I need you to do is hit the like and subscribe button, Donnie. Um, my dad is from northern England, a little town called Haltwhistle. Um, and in the 70s, he met a nice Canadian girl, and you know what happens. You meet a nice Canadian girl, you end up moving to Canada. So, but his family is still over there. His parents, my grandparents, have passed away, but um, my aunts, he's the middle child. He had two sisters, so both of his sisters are still there. My aunts and uncles. Um, my cousins are also over there. My cousins' kids. They all live in like the northern England area, in and around Haltwhistle and Newcastle. They're a bunch of Geordies. So I got the chance to visit them, but I also got the chance to visit so many other really incredible Masonic sites. That was just wonderful. I'm going to talk about those. So I arrived it was an overnight flight. There's a red eye. Left Toronto on the 23rd of November. The airport is beautiful. It's done up for Christmas, as they always do. They have all the different Christmas trees, the different decorations up. They have this thing every year they do where basically it's the outline of a gift package, and then you can stand in the gift package, get your picture taken. Anyways, Pearson Airport, I love that airport, especially at Christmas time. I think they do a really nice job of setting it up beautifully. All night flight, so arrived in London in Heathrow Airport, Terminal 2, the morning of November 24th. For everybody who is traveling, especially from the States and Canada to United Kingdom, you do need to complete what's called an ETA, an electronic travel authorization. It is super easy to complete. You need to complete that with your passport. So you need to have an active passport. You need to complete the ETA, electronic travel authorization, and it is good for 2 years. So for now, basically from November of 2025 to November of 2027, if I ever want to travel to United Kingdom, I'm all set. So long as I have a passport that's good, I've applied for and paid for my ETA, and it's been approved, and it's all set. It took 12 hours maybe to get the confirmation. It was super simple and super easy to apply for. And I talked about this before, but I do think we as Freemasons, we have a responsibility to be good citizens, not just a good citizen to the country in which we live, though obviously that should come first, but a good citizen of the countries to which we are traveling. I think that's equally as important. In some ways, kind of a citizen of the world. So that means making sure that if you're traveling to another country, you have an up-to-date and active passport. You have completed all the paperwork you need to complete. You've got whatever vaccinations you're supposed to get. Basically, you've done everything you're supposed to do. And so I was really proud of, not proud is the right word, but I guess I did take a lot of pride in having all my paperwork done, having everything correct, having a passport that was set to expire, 10 years from now, getting my passport renewed, all that jazz. Another piece of advice is if you are in Canada or the United States and you're traveling overseas or even to South America, you need to make sure that your passport, it's not just that you have an active passport, but make sure your passport isn't expiring within 6 months of the date of your travel, because a lot of countries won't accept you if your passport is set to expire within 6 months of arrival. So for me, I got a new passport because the original one was set to expire within 6 months. So if you're traveling overseas, Asia, South America, make sure your passport, again, It's while you're in country, make sure your passport is not going to expire within 6 months of the date of travel. And I think we as Freemasons have a responsibility to know about these things and know what the rules and requirements are for whatever country it is we may be traveling to. That includes, for example, visa requirements, electronic travel authorizations, passports. Are there any fees to enter the country? Um, Thank you, Linking Atlas. It's very kind of you. I mean, Freemasons are travelers, right? That's what that says. They're traveler. And part of being a traveler, part of being a good traveler, is being respectful of the rules and requirements of the countries to which you're attending. That's also why, as a general rule, I don't stream while I'm traveling. There are exceptions in this and that. At least I don't stream on my Square and Compass channel. I do post on my social media accounts, and that's why it's so important that you follow me on social media. You follow me on Instagram, you follow me on Facebook. Hello, Death Stark, welcome back. You follow me on Twitter, X, and you follow my community posts on YouTube, because while I'm traveling, that is where I'm going to be sharing with you guys what I have happening. That's what I did the last week, right? I posted all of my adventures on Instagram, Facebook, and social media. Welcome from Kurdistan, Pola. I'm going to call you Daki Pola. I'm going to call you Pola. Please hit the like and subscribe button. So I arrive. Again, flight was excellent. By the way, Air Canada has some crazy good entertainment now on their flights. I was really impressed with the flights that the entertainment on board. But thank you to everybody who works at these airports, whether it be working behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, maintenance crew, pilots, obviously, flight attendants, obviously, the staff that does the check-in, the staff that takes care of all the baggage, customs enforcement for both Canada and United Kingdom. Thank you for making my trip so easy, and especially being, in my wheelchair, for taking care of my chair for me, for letting me get on and off the plane without issue. I always try to say it, but I'll say it again. Thank you. So arrive the 24th of November, 6:30 a.m. Make it through customs, no issue, because I was prepared. And from there, spent a little bit of time in Heathrow Airport waiting for the sun to rise once again. And then I took part in my first Masonic visit of the trip. I went to Freemasons Hall in London on Queen Street. Let me see if I can actually show you some of the stuff I received while I was there. Yeah, there it is. All right, I'm back. Hello, Curiosity Nudge. Welcome back. Thank you for being here. So Freemasons Hall, they have three really cool, well, more than three, but they have many very cool parts of that building. But the three I want to mention specifically, first of all, is the Goose and Gridiron. Everybody who is a Freemason and knows what the history of Freemasonry should know about the Goose and Gridiron. It was the location. Hello, Christian Bridges. It was the London Ale House where 4 Masonic lodges met on June 24th, 1717, to form the first Grand Lodge of Masonry in the world, known at the time as the Premier Grand Lodge of England. It was founded on St. John the Baptist Day, interestingly enough. The Goose and Gridiron was located at St. Paul's Churchyard. And Anthony Sayer was elected as its first Grand Master. So historically, that is the Goose and Gridiron. It was originally located at, let me see if I can find the original location. St. Paul's Churchyard, which was located very close to the Millennium Bridge, if you've ever been to London before, very close to the Millennium Bridge. However, Freemasons Hall and United Grand Lodge of England opened a coffee shop, pub, calling it the Goose and Gridiron in honor of, the original Goose and Gridiron at Freemasons Hall. They had, I will say this, they had a delicious cappuccino, which after an all-night flight, any coffee is going to taste delicious, but theirs in particular was good. They had great coffee, great tea, of course. So Freemasons Hall and the Goose and Gridiron coffee shop located therein is about 25-minute walk or 10-minute drive from the location of the original Goose and Gridiron. But there you go. So that was my very first thing I did. If anybody knows me, they'll know I love coffee. Get off the plane, wait for the sun to come up. Then, as a good Londoner should, I took the tube, I took the underground, and I visited Freemasons Hall, and I grabbed some coffee at the Goose and Gridiron coffee shop, named in honor of the meeting place of the original Grand Lodge of England in June 24th, 1717. So I would encourage everybody, if you are visiting London, whether you're a Mason or not, if you want a good cup of coffee, go to the Freemasons Hall Goose and Gridiron, located at 60 Great Queen Street. There's a whole bunch of London Underground stops that will get you there. If I recall correctly, I got off at Covent Garden, and it was maybe a 30-second to a 1-minute walk from Covent Garden Underground Tube to Freemasons Hall and to Goose and Gridiron. So, Freemasons Hall, home of Goose and Gridiron. Then it's also home of the museum, and it's home of the gift shop at Freemasons Hall, United Grand Lodge of England. Unfortunately, I was there on a Monday. The museum itself was closed. I wish I could have checked it out. But nonetheless, I did get to check out their gift shop. They got a lot of really cool items. Again, if you're a Mason, if you're traveling there and you're looking for souvenirs, maybe even things to bring back to your Masonic family, to your Grand Lodge, to your Grand Master, to the Master of your lodge, they have pins, challenge coins, books. They have all sorts of incredible stuff that you can pick up there. And if nothing else, even if, let's say, you're getting there late and they're closed completely, like they're not allowing anybody in the building, it's midnight or whatever it is. If you have a couple moments to stop by, I would really encourage every Mason to do so. Because even if all you can see is the facade, it is an absolutely beautiful facade. And it is well worth checking out, the facade in and of itself. And you can see pictures of the facade as well as of the inside on my social media accounts, which once again is why it's so important to check out my social media accounts. Aside from being home of Goose and Gridiron and home of the museum and gift shop and home of the United Grand Lodge of England offices, it is also home to the Masonic Charitable Foundation, one of the, without a question, shining lights of Freemasonry. I got the chance to check out their facilities briefly. It's a beautiful office space, and I picked up their Impact Report 2023-2024. Just to give you some example of some of the things that they have been doing. In 2023-2024, the Masonic Charitable Foundation awarded grants totaling £26.3 million. Support for individual and households, £13.7 million, awarded to 3,036 individuals through 4,575 grants. Residential care, £6.9 million to support residential care for older individuals who need support to live independently, and £5.7 million to support for charities and communities, awarded to 339 local and national charities, helping over 379,000 individuals. They provided advice, information, and support services to 1,061 applicants and trained 286 visiting volunteers, 17,815 interactions between their inquiries team and the people we support, or they support, Masonic Charities Foundation. So again, that is the Masonic Charities Foundation. Their offices are in Freemasons Hall as well. This is a really great report. I encourage everybody, go on their website, sign up for their website, sign up for their free newsletter. You can get it delivered directly to your mail slot. Directly to your inbox, and it'll let you know what's happening. Hello, No Filter. How's it going? Thank you for being here. Yes, it's wonderful to be back. I did a brief stream yesterday and enjoyed it, but now I'm back. You are a member. Somebody gifted you a membership. That would have been Michael Moore. So thank you for being a member. But don't let that stop you from doing a 99-cent super chat. I recognize you, but I just call you whatever your name is on the screen because it's easier for me to remember. I'm just talking about my trip. Like I said, I just got through the 24th and my visit to Freemasons Hall. Well, what's good was my trip, which was incredible. I just finished talking about, my trip was from the 23rd to the 30th. I was too busy with Freemasonry to worry about any of that stuff. No filter. Well, there is no single leader of a cult or anything else. I assume you're talking about the Grand Master, which I did not. He's very busy. But I did get to go to UGLE, have some coffee at the Goose and Gridiron, check out their gift shop, and check out their beautiful facade, and check out the Masonic Charities Foundation offices. From there, I caught myself a Flixbus. Well, it depends where you're at, No Filter Boss, right? So in Ontario, the person in charge is the Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Canada in the province of Ontario. But he's responsible for Freemasonry exclusively within Ontario. In Texas, it's the Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Texas. In England, in United Grand Lodge of England, it's the Grand Master of UGLE, right? It's jurisdictional. So then, yeah, caught a Flixbus, made my way to Newcastle, which also was and felt very lucky to be in Newcastle and to visit my family there. Again, my dad is from Northern England, and so being able to he met a nice Canadian girl, the rest is history, but my family's still there, and I don't get to see them nearly as much as I should. Last time I was there was almost 15 years ago. So getting the chance to visit once again was awesome. Family was super friendly. I got to stay not in Newcastle directly, but in a small town just south of Newcastle, which was absolutely wonderful. So thank you so much to my family for letting me stay with them. So that was 24th. 25th, basically spent the day posting on social media my pictures from my travels thus far. So by the way, no filter boss / Christopher, do you follow me on social media? That actually should be my next question. Because if you don't, you really, really should. Hold on just one sec. Because when I'm traveling, and I'm not streaming for various reasons, but I don't try not to stream when I travel because at that point it's work and that gets into issues around, um, right? That gets into issues around visas and things like that. So I try not to stream while I'm traveling, but I do still post to social media. And because I still post to social media, I, that's the way to find me. So if you ever want to know what I'm up to and I'm not streaming, or if I'm making announcements about when I will start streaming and stop streaming and what's happening in my life, what's happening with Square and Compass Promotions, you need to follow me on social media. And that includes Instagram at square_and_compass_promotions. So, anyways, the 25th, I spent the day, A, recovered from jet lag, and B, posting everything that happened on my stream, on my social media accounts. So, all of my pictures from my travels, pictures from Freemasons Hall, pictures from the Goose and Gridiron, pictures from all the fun public transport I took. Again, taking the tube like a real Londoner was really fun. So that's what I did on the 25th. On the 26th, that was the AVDA award ceremony. Really the whole reason I went in the first place. And I had an absolute blast. I had to get up super early because I took the train, the LNER train, from Newcastle, actually from Durham train station to Edinburgh. It was a very short walk to get to Freemasons Hall. I posted pictures. Freemasons Hall itself, absolutely stunning. Really, really beautiful building. Beautiful facade, beautiful interior. It is the home of the Grand Lodge of Scotland, the ancient and accepted Grand Lodge of Scotland. I got to meet several of the award winners, several of the finalists for the AVDA Awards, including, finally in person, Andy Albright, who wrote Masonic Commedia, Freemasonry and Masonic Symbolism in the Divine Comedy. The actual title is Masonic Commedia, Freemasonry and the Divine Comedy. Not only did I get to meet him in person, I also received, he signed a book for me. So he actually inscribed the inside of this book for me. I've got many Masonic books. This is the second one that's been signed by the author. I thought that was really, really cool and really kind of him. I also got to meet all of the other authors and all of the other finalists for the AVDA Awards. The Grand Secretary of Scotland was there. The Grand Master-elect for Scotland was present. Even though I did not... Hello, Darkness Knight. Welcome. Please hit like and subscribe. Even though I did not win, just being there was an absolute honor. Okay, welcome Pennywise. How are you doing? In case anybody's curious for the winners, let me just pull it up here. In my category, the winner was Matthew Arian Siami, From Stone to Temple, The Psychological Transformation of Identity in Freemasonry. He is from Aberdeen, so he's from Scotland. He is a doctor of counseling psychology with a keen interest in both research and practice within psychotherapy and psychology. His academic journey commenced with the attainment of undergraduate and master's degrees, which provided the foundation for his doctoral work and current endeavors. Outside of the academic sphere, Matthew's interests are varied and dynamic. Leveraging his background in amateur boxing, he serves as a coach, sharing his experience with aspiring athletes. His commitment to mentorship extends beyond the ring as he actively serves on the boards of local community centers, fostering positive engagement within Aberdeen. Moreover, Matthew actively participates in Aberdeen's Masonic community, contributing to Lodge Aberdeen number 1, St. George's number 21, and Bon Accord Conclave number 6. Through these affiliations, he finds meaningful fellowship and avenues for service. As a runner-up in the 2024 Arcana Veritas Awards, his first paper focused on how Masons understand and make meaning in the craft. Matthew now seeks to demonstrate through his new paper why applying psychological and philosophical methods to Freemasonry is imperative, since without rigorous empirical validation of its symbols, rituals, and teachings, we cannot fully comprehend the impact on cognition, identity, and social behavior. And I'll talk to you about the work for which he won. From Stone to Temple, The Psychological Transformation of Identity in Freemasonry, as a continuation of my paper submitted as a finalist to the 2024 Arcana Veritas Distinction Awards. This work delves deeper into the psychological aspects of the Freemason, moving beyond a broad examination of the meanings behind ritual and symbolism. Specifically, this paper looks to explore the significance of identity and personal transformation within Freemasonry. These transformative elements are deeply embedded in the moral teachings of Freemasonry, which, while often overshadowed by historical discussions in Masonic literature, form the cornerstone of Freemasons' journey toward personal growth and spiritual refinement. Rituals and symbolism in Freemasonry serve as catalysts for this process, guiding the individual towards an apotheosis of being, a state where Freemasons strive to uphold moral ideas in pursuit of perfection. In reflection of the divine, this journey mirrors the allegory of the rough and perfect ashlars, where exposure to others and the practice of ritual initiate a change within the man, not only morally but psychologically, as some may interpret within the very core of his soul. Thus, this paper aims to highlight the moral and personal transformation at the core of Freemasonry in the psychological realm, and provide a deeper understanding of how its rituals, symbols, and teachings refine character and elevate the individual toward higher moral and spiritual ideas. Through initiation, reflection, and ethical discipline, the Freemason is challenged to overcome his imperfections, embody virtue, and strive for self-perfection. So there you go. Congratulations to Matthew Siami. I actually hope he's on my stream or my podcast soon. So I got the chance to tour the beautiful Edinburgh Masonic or Freemasons Hall in Edinburgh. I took some pictures, posted them on social media. I got to check out the museum. And I got to check out beautiful Freemasons Hall, the actual lodge room itself and their organ. So it was really incredible. Thank you for letting me take a tour. And then, on top of everything else, I got to tour, or I got the chance to check out what was the name? I got to check the name of the pub to make sure I'm getting the name of the pub correctly. You'll know why in a second. Dun, dun, dun. It was not actually Rose Street Brewery. It was Kilcarney. I got to check out a pub, and I got to try haggis, neeps, and tatties, which is haggis, turnips, and potatoes. with some gravy. It was very, very good. Made me feel like a real Scotsman. I should also mention, hello, Apple Tree. Thank you for being back here once again. I truly appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. Local rat. I mean, I would agree. I hate the idea of animals being used for testing. Or I guess I should say I hate the idea of animals being harmed for testing. I understand in some cases it's necessary, but they should be treated as well as possible. I forgot to mention, but while I was in Freemasons Hall, I also got to meet one of the hosts from, in my opinion, one of the best Masonic podcasts in 2025, Craftcast. Check that podcast out if you've not done so. It's absolutely incredible. I'm doing well. You are welcome, local NYC rat. By the way, I hope you'll hit the like button and the subscribe button. I'd very, very much appreciate it. Then, still in Edinburgh, I had a few hours to kill before my bus or my train actually. Thank you, Rat. I appreciate that. They are, and I got my picture taken with one of the hosts. In my opinion, maybe the best Masonic podcast of 2025, or in 2025, I should say. And I'm sure they'll be just as good in 2026, for that matter. Then a few hours for my travel, I got to check out the St. Cuthbert's Graveyard, which is a historic graveyard in Scotland, in Edinburgh. And I found a lot of really cool gravestones, but the one I liked the most, I took a picture of it for obvious reasons. It's on my Instagram. Stated, erected by the Lodge of Journeyman Masons, Edinburgh, number 8, in memory of John Crooks, Right Worshipful Master, 1868 and 1869, died 24th of May, 1671, aged 47 years. So there you go. I thought that was really, really cool to see one of my Masonic brothers. It's something I always look for. Cam, I need your help. I found pin. I mean, you can wear whatever you want. I mean, I know brothers who, like, I'm assuming, hold on just one second. I'm assuming it's, let me see. I've never heard of Travel Time. I will check it out. I've never heard of Travel Time before. I mean, different. I'm trying to find the pin you're talking about because I think I've seen a similar pin. One of the biggest challenges within Freemasonry is trying to figure out your audience. Do you want to talk to Masons specifically within your jurisdiction? Do you want to talk to Masons around the world? Do you want to talk to non-Masons who have questions? I think maybe you mean like a pin that looks like this. If you can see that right there. Let me know if that's the type of pin. I mean, I hope that's the right one. Let me see if you get a decent view of it right there. Yeah, so look, my view has always been, if you're a non-Mason, I discourage you from wearing pins or anything with a Masonic symbol on it because it's kind of our symbol. Having said that, I can't stop you, and if you want to wear it, I guess so be it. It's not anything I can really control. If you are a Mason, I always say wear whatever you want to wear. If you think it looks cool and it's a Masonic symbol, then by all means. Some places in the States, they say don't wear it till you get your third degree. Um, what I always say, though, I think this goes to the more general idea of, um, just because someone is wearing whatever they're wearing, a Masonic pin, a Masonic shirt, a Masonic hat, whatever you're wearing, that doesn't automatically mean they're a Mason. And you need to be really careful, assuming that they are, right? So Apple Tree, right, is good, to be honest. Good for Apple Tree on that. But hey, Lon, welcome. Thank you for being back once again. I hope you're doing well. Um, so never assume. Beyond that, though, I mean, I would also say, Apple Tree, you should do what you want to do and not worry about how it looks to other people. So if you have a pin and you think it's cool, don't worry about other people and their views on it. Nothing wrong with wearing it. Good to see you again, Lon. I hope that you are doing well. But I always discourage non-Masons from wearing Masonic pins and coins, or Masonic pins and shirts, or whatever it is. That doesn't mean you can't collect them. That doesn't mean you can't keep them, and display them. But it's tough because I know for some people, like maybe Mr. MC, Mr. Mick. I'm just gonna call you Mr. I'm just gonna call you Mr. If you have a grandfather or a father who had a Masonic ring and he passes it down, I can understand, even if you're not a Mason, wanting to wear it. That does make sense to me. What I'd say, though, again, in those circumstances, is if you're a Mason and you see somebody wearing a pin or a coin, don't assume automatically that they're a Mason. Still ask them questions, right? Still do your due diligence, because it could have came from a family member. Well, Pastor, then you are doing many wrong things. First, if people believe you're a Freemason and you're not, you should tell them that you're not. It's wrong to do otherwise. And even whether you were a Mason or not, being a Freemason has nothing to do with having power over others or wanting power over others. So if you feel like you're getting power over others, you're doing it wrong. That's not what Freemasonry is about. And Mr. MC, I would say you don't have to wear it with the Masonic symbol hidden, especially if it means something to you from the perspective of your grandfather. But you should obviously, be honest with people that you're not a Mason. Okay, appreciate that, Pastor Sempa. But it's important to remember, right? You can't hear sarcasm in a chat. So it's important that I kind of make sure people, because I don't want people reading that and thinking the wrong thing or thinking Freemasonry gives you power over others, right? That is not what we want. I mean, you wouldn't offend anybody. I just always say it's kind of like wearing, I don't know, it'd be kind of like me wearing a pin for, I don't know, like a gym to which I'm not a member of it, right? I can maybe wear the pin, but if I'm not a member, I mean, say that I wouldn't use the term offend. So I guess what I'll say is, Apple Tree, you do what you think is best, but one thing you should never do is make your decisions based on necessarily concern for others, right? Because, well, let me rephrase that. Concern for how you'll be perceived by others. You should do what you think is best. A little bit. I mean, I think stolen valor is a bit of a strong term, Mr. MC, because stolen valor is like, somebody wearing a Masonic ring or a pin, I'm certainly would not get hurt or offended by it in the same way if I was a soldier and someone was wearing a medal or something claiming they had fought overseas. That's a completely different thing, right? In terms of my reaction to it. But I'm trying to think of the best term. But if you want to use kind of a very, very, very watered down version of stolen valor. I guess you can use that term, but again, being a soldier, those guys are risking their lives, spending years away from families in some cases, and either risking their lives or literally losing their lives, to do what they do and to keep and protect us. So I would say certainly somebody wearing, portraying themselves as being a soldier when they never served. I would have a real problem with that, much more so than somebody wearing a pin or a coin or a ring or a hat or whatever it might be. If that made any sense. By the way, to the 60% of you, to the 40% of you, so the two of you who do not follow me on social media, please follow me on social media at square_and_compass_promotions. Find me there on Instagram. It's very important that you do so because when I'm traveling, that is how you keep up with me. So that was the 26th in Edinburgh, at the Arcana Veritas Distinction Awards. Well, I mean, some would say my problem is I don't think enough. So certainly if you want help from overthinking or not overthinking, then absolutely come to me because I'll always help you with that. So after checking out the gravestone of Right Worship Brother John Crooks, again posted on my social media accounts, I caught a train back to Newcastle and then caught a bus from Newcastle to my cousin's house. And this would be a good time for me to just say thank you to, or to say how appreciative I was of the public transit system in the United Kingdom. It was excellent. It was excellent in London, getting me to and from Heathrow Airport. It was wonderful in Northern England, getting me to and from Newcastle to Edinburgh, and then from Edinburgh back to Newcastle, and then from Newcastle to my cousin's house, about 45 minutes away. This is kind of my own personal opinion but again, as a Freemason, as a traveler, I do think it behooves us when we are traveling to at least try and use public transit services. We're travelers, and part of being a traveler is adapting to the local, to the local community, the culture, the city, the services where you're at. That includes not necessarily just taking, not necessarily just renting a car per se or taking taxis. Use the public transit. Get a feel for what it's like where you're traveling to, what the transit services are like, what the public services are like. I'm a big believer in that. M1, well, you and I disagree, I think, strongly on that. Having said that, please hit like and subscribe. We are back, Rondo. My trip was awesome, and thank you for being here once again. I've been talking about my trip. I was gone from the 23rd to the 30th. I'm currently on day, 4, the 26th of November. And my wonderful visit to Edinburgh and the Arcana Veritas Distinction Awards. So anyways, that was the 26th. I can feel like there's an insult in there somewhere, MLK, M1LK. But that shouldn't stop you from hitting the like and subscribe button. The 27th, I got to visit, thanks to my cousins. They took me to Haltwhistle. I visited Haltwhistle Masonic Lodge, where my grandfather, on my dad's side, was a Freemason. He was actually Worshipful Master of his Masonic Lodge in 1974. Hold on just one second. Let me see if I can show you his jewel. because I like to show it off when I can. Oh, there it is. Let's see. Here it is. Maybe. Yes. Halt whistle. This is his jewel. So I got to visit his Masonic lodge, which is really special. I took pictures of it. Again, why follow me on social media? So you can find all those pictures. Especially when I'm not able to live stream. That's how you keep up with me. So my article did not win the contest, but that's okay. It's just an honor to be nominated. I know everybody says that, but I said it and I meant it. And if anybody does not agree with me, you are wrong. It's an honor to just be nominated. Welcome back, Spirit. If I feel that way about social media, about being nominated, about transit, M1, I do not know what you're talking about. So, but still like and subscribe. And I think, I'm trying to get the winner to visit or to be on the podcast. So we're working on it right now, communicating with him. Hopefully I'll get it. However, he did send me his winning article to read. So it just reminded me of the importance, I think, this visit, of the importance of family, of the importance of, what Freemasonry can mean for families. And I've said it before, I never knew my grandfather. He died before I was born. But being a Mason does make me feel connected to him. So I made it back. I'm amazed Canada took me. Right, if I was Canada, I would have kicked me out. But hey, they took me, so what can I say? Much appreciation to Halt Whistle for that. But I made it back from England. Well, yeah, that's the old expression, right? Either I win or I lose. So that was the 27th, and then on the 28th of November, is when I flew back to Canada. Once again, a huge thank you to all of the public transit services that made my trip possible, whether it be to get from Newcastle all the way back to London on Flixbus, through to, again, the underground, the tube. Made me feel like a real Londoner to be taking the tube. And I really loved it. And then again, to Heathrow Airport, I did something I encourage. It was wonderful, Courtney. I hope that you are doing well. Thank you for being back. How's you been doing? I was thinking about you and hoping everything's going well with you and your Masonic journey down in Texas. You're absolutely right, Rondo. Failure is a distraction, but it's also a learning opportunity. And I mean, I just consider myself lucky to have got to go. By the way, everybody watching this, don't forget, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and consider doing a 99-cent super chat. I did something I encourage people to never do. Just the way the schedule worked, I got to the airport for my international flight with an hour and 20 minutes to spare before my flight left, which is never a good idea. You should always give yourself at least 3 hours. But thank heavens and thankfully, no issues. I made it through security quickly, made it to my gate quickly. Heathrow is actually very well laid out, at least Terminal 2, and easy to get around in. The staff was great. Staff took care of me, made sure I got on the plane, still had time to spare. So don't be like me. Give yourself more time because I feel like getting there at the last minute is kind of rude for the poor staff. However, um, all worked out, all's well that ends well. Made it on my flight and made it back home. So I did not see Big Ben or Piccadilly. I did see UGLE and it was wonderful. I was saying there's three things housed at UGLE Freemasons Hall. There's the Goose and Gridiron Coffee Shop, which had a delicious cappuccino. There is the offices of United Guard Lodge of England, and there is the offices of the Masonic Charitable Foundation. And I got to see all three. So that was really, really fun and really special. Yes, I agree. I do have some great pictures. And thank you for following them. Well, you got some pretty cool stuff happening as well, Spirit, in your life. So I'm envious of you, especially where you're at right now. Beautiful place to be. But I mean, yeah, it was a beautiful trip. It was a beautiful trip. Amazing people. I loved it. So. And then I made it back. And once again, made it back. Thank you again to Air Canada, to Flixbus, everybody made it, who allowed me to make it back home to Windsor safely. And that was my trip. So I hope that I managed to, again, you're following me. I hope that I managed to synthesize it. Again, I've talked before about the lessons from travel. If I could take a couple lessons from this trip, it would be, first of all, but I already knew this, but again, this reinforced the importance of travel, the necessity of travel, and the value of travel for a Freemason. If you're not traveling, you are missing out on a big part of what it means to be a Freemason. Now, that doesn't mean you have to travel overseas. That means traveling from one lodge room in your building to another. That means going to lodges on a different night of the week. That means visiting lodges on a different night of the week. Up to traveling to England. All that stuff matters. All that stuff is important. So I hope that you guys will keep those things in mind. It reiterated to me that family can be a very motivating factor within Freemasonry. Not knowing my grandfather, but visiting his lodge was a very moving experience. And I think it reiterated just how many people need to work together to make travel possible. I'm not taking that for granted. Again, having talked about this before, the airline pilots, the stewardesses, the customs officials, the public transport workers, without them, travel would not be possible. So I think we as Freemasons have a responsibility to remember that, to be extra respectful of those workers who make our travel possible. And to just take a moment to think of them, and also to do our part in traveling by having our documents, having our paperwork, doing our passports, our ETAs, being respectful of the time and energy of the workers, of the staff who make travel for us possible. And I guess last thing I'd say is, when you're traveling, you have a responsibility to try to be supportive of where you're traveling to. That means using take the bus, take the train, get to know what it's like to actually live there, to be a part of the community. Shop at a local restaurant, shop at a local store, eat at a local restaurant. You have an opportunity to support not only them, but their communities as well, and their economies. And as a Mason, doing so is especially important because it demonstrates to that community that you actually care about the community and that you actually want to see it prosper by taking a few minutes to, again, go to a local store, go to a local shop, even if, let's say, you don't have the money to be going to a local restaurant or shopping at a local store. You can still take advantage of social media. Post about your travels. Talk up where you've been. Talk about the things you loved in, London, in Scotland. Give a shout out to the public transport, whatever it is. Even if you can't buy anything, you can still at least use your social media platforms as a Freemason to talk about what you love about where you visited and encourage others to visit as well. Would be another suggestion of mine. Ronald Chamberson, thank you for being here. Please, if you're not done so, hit like and subscribe. If you already subscribed, thank you. The most beautiful, sorry, Christmas powder, the most beautiful place I've ever taken pictures. Yellowstone National Park, Old Faithful is fire. Christmas powder, please hit like and subscribe. And yes, I agree with you 100%. I've never been there, but again, I think that just shows Christmas, you, by taking pictures, by talking about it on social media, by sharing that, you are actually helping the economy of Yellowstone National Park. People traveling to Montana, spending money there, taking tours, that helps the local economy. And so good for you for doing that. So Christmas powder, please hit like and subscribe. And if you shared any of those on social media, let us know where. Yes, UGLE building is absolutely huge, but it's also incredible, and well worth a tour. Linking Alice, no, I'm a firm believer in, it's the old expression, wherever you go, there you are. It's kind of like, thank you, Christmas. So where did you share any of those pictures on socials? Like, do you have Instagram? If you want to share that, go ahead. Like you saw this with people who had issues with addiction a lot, where one thing they would try to do is they would move cities or towns to try to, beat back their addiction, and all that would happen, the addiction would follow them because ultimately it was about them. In my opinion, it's possible to find happiness. It's possible to find um, peace and contentment anywhere. Not necessarily with anybody. I definitely think the relationships that can cause you all sorts of problems, and sometimes you need to leave those relationships. And if it becomes an issue where it's, heaven forbid, stalking or anything like that, then maybe you do need to leave your town. But if that's not the case and you're just not happy where you're at, you need to find a way to be happy where you are before you try to find happiness somewhere else. Thank you, Christmas. This channel is all about Freemasonry. So if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry, please let me know. And by the way, you can follow me on Instagram, Christmas Powder, at @square_and_compass_promotions. And I always try to promote those things. So, and consider doing a super chat of 99 cents, etc., etc. But yeah, I was talking about my recent wonderful trip to England. I'm actually working on another trip very soon. I will be going to Colombia, I do believe. I'll let you know more about that once I know more about that. The food was delicious. The food was absolutely wonderful. I had haggis, neeps, and tatties, which was very, very good. I had a lot of great food, a lot of potatoes. They do like their potatoes over there. But yeah, I think that is my trip. Me going through my trip. It was. I was there from the 23rd to the 28th. Spent most of my time in Scotland. Spent most of my time in Newcastle, so Northern England. Spent a day in Edinburgh, a day in London. Took the tube like a real Mason. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun. I am very fortunate. Fortunate for a lot of different reasons, including getting to know you, Courtney. And your support of the channel is truly, truly appreciated. I couldn't do any of the things I do without this channel. So We are just now back to waiting. Anybody has any questions about Freemasonry? Let me know. Well, everybody's very friendly. Christmas. I'm not an American. I'm Canadian. Born and raised in Winnipeg and lived in Windsor, Ontario. But I mean, no one asked. Um, no one asked where I was from. I think a lot of people assume American when they hear the accent, but no one asked one way or the other. But everybody was very friendly, very kind. It was a lot of fun. I loved it. So it was great. Um, and very friendly people. I was saying, Agampreet, welcome back. I was saying, um, I mean, everybody dances in Canada. I dance in Canada. You know, being able to travel, the reason I can travel is because of the friendliness of people, of all of the staff that make it possible, from airline pilots and stewardesses through to airplane mechanics to when I land, public transit workers, drivers, bus drivers, people who operate and maintain the tube, whatever it is. I couldn't do what I do without them. And so thank you to them for that. Well, so he was born in England, born and raised in England, but moved to Canada, met a nice Canadian girl, and you know how that goes. You got to watch out for those Canadian girls because you're born in England, you meet them, you come to Canada, and next thing you know, you're talking with a funny Canadian accent. Um, oh, it is. And I think I've said this before, but we as Freemasons need to be more respectful of that team effort. And I'm not saying more, we just need to be respectful for that team effort, right? We need to care about and be thankful for everybody who puts effort into to travel and allowing us to travel. So, um, yes, Agampreet, Canada is nice. By the way, anybody watching this, if you're not subscribed yet, please hit that like and subscribe button and follow me on social media if you don't already. Um, Again, at square_and_compass_promotions. And mark your calendars, December 21st, less than 3 weeks, 24-hour live stream. It is going to be a lot of fun. Oh yeah, I mean, he would have gone up through British Columbia, so definitely a lot of great fishing there, because British Columbia is so beautiful. And so, I mean, I don't know if he was fishing on the ocean, if you can fish on the ocean, but there's a ton of national, or not even national, but there's a ton of parks and ton of, especially up north, because you're going not just through British Columbia, but you're going through British Columbia and Yukon, two places that are really well known for some incredible nature. And by the way, just a reminder, I'll be back on at 1 a.m. tonight as well. So, because my audience is like me, a bunch of night owls. Craftcast is awesome. I got a picture with the Craftcast guys, and I felt very lucky to do so. They are an excellent, excellent Masonic podcast, maybe the best Masonic podcast of 2025. Who knows? It's very relative, right? I don't think anybody necessarily, it's subjective. A lot of people love Roundtable, as they should. But yeah, Craftcast is great. Jonathan, do you listen to Craftcast at work or do you listen to me while at work? Either way, thank you. Whomever you're listening to, Craftcast is great. If you're listening to me, thank you so much. Well, thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate that very much. I hope you enjoy it. I hope it helps the day go by a little bit quicker for you. And I hope maybe you get some good advice on Freemasonry, or at least some good perspectives on Freemasonry. Nice. Well, don't forget, you can consider doing a super chat, liking, subscribing, sharing, all that jazz. We're pretty much, I think, done with the main topic, which was kind of an overview of my trip and some things I learned. So we're back on to, is there anything you want to talk about? Any thoughts, any comments? Um, Please take a moment to hit that like and subscribe button to anybody who's new, and let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry. We're just kind of back to hanging out, waiting to see who joins. That's a great question, Christmas powder. It's a tough question, too. So I can go anywhere in the world for 2 weeks. Where do I go? Is this, I'm assuming, but is this all expense paid? Like, so obviously the flight is all expense, but for those 2 weeks, do I have unlimited money? Like, or am I paying my own way once I get there? Because that will change. Okay, if it's all expenses paid, um, Morocco, because Morocco is a Muslim country that actually is pretty active Freemasonry, and that fascinates me. And plus, I've never visited anywhere in Africa. So, I mean, Egypt is up there as well. I'm going to go with Morocco, though. Yeah, I have to go with Morocco. So, that's a very good question. Right? Because if money was an issue and I had to spend my own money while I was there, I'd actually probably go somewhere in South America because the exchange rate, it's so inexpensive compared to other places. Um, there can be. I mean, that is something I want to talk about at some point is how to avoid scams on this channel because we within Freemasonry, we do have a lot of older members. Sometimes they can be, um, I've known of Masons who've fallen for scams, unfortunately. So I think we within Freemasonry need to be really careful and make sure we're checking in on our older members and talk to them about how to avoid scams or what to watch out for with scams. I want to settle in Canada. Well, Canada is great. So, I mean, if you complete the process and come on through, I believe in welcoming. We believe we in Canada should be welcoming. So, you know, Canada's a great country. It would be, yes. So I may do a topic on that. Maybe get a guest speaker in to talk about it. Like CIBC has a lot of great stuff. So that might be what I do. We shall see. And I know, I'm sure that I can get somebody on, but I'm sure almost everybody on this stream probably knows somebody who's fallen for a scam or been victim of a scam or almost been victim of a scam. Um, how many? That's a good question. There's no single answer to that though, because again, Freemasonry is jurisdictional, right? So there is no single governing body that, assigns branches. Rather, within each jurisdiction, so in Ontario, for example, there's a different number of branches than in, let's say, Russia. And in Russia, there's a different number of branches than in, say, um, Texas, right? Like when you talk about branches, the most common branches is Scottish Rite, York Rite, and the Shrine. Those are appendant bodies. And those are the most common branches within Freemasonry, right? And those are, after you get your first 3 degrees, those are branches which you can, climb onto to continue the metaphor. Beyond that, um, then you get into um, Eastern Star, which is a branch for women as well as men. Then there is youth groups, Demo Lay and Rainbow. Then there is, if you go to Europe, there's Memphis Mizraim, which is not something you find in North America. There's Allied Masonic degrees. So the branches are pretty extensive. But I would say, as a general rule, I would say there's 5 branches: Scottish Rite, York Rite, Shrine, Eastern Star, and youth groups. And then again, Order of Women Freemasons, and it's all about recognition and what is recognized and regular. There's no, well, so Freemasonry is not a religion, so there's no specific Catholic branches. I mean, for that, you'd be looking at probably Knights of Columbus, which is a separate organization, right? It was in fact started because the Catholic Church, in various ways, forbids its members from joining Freemasonry. We in Freemasonry welcome men of any faith, including the Catholic faith, but as of right now, if I recall, the rule is if you are a Catholic and a Freemason, you are not allowed to. Thank you, Courtney. You are not allowed to take communion. That is very kind of you. Um, but yeah, so that is the branches. Christmas Powder said interesting, and Linking Atlas. I mean, Linking Atlas. I'm happy to think of you and give you some thoughts. I don't know if I would say I pray per se, but I definitely want to, keep thinking of you and hope the best for you. Yes, thank you, Courtney, for your support. It's truly, truly appreciated. Do you have any plans for Christmas? Are you going to be doing anything with the family, with your Masonic Lodge, or just staying in? Because nothing's wrong with just staying in, by the way. That can be the most fun. That can be, without a doubt, the most fun thing. Yes, Jonathan also wishes Linking Atlas the best. Sometimes it's just about believing you're going to be okay. I know that sounds super cheesy, but it's true nonetheless. Sometimes it's just about believing that you're going to be okay. So we're just going to hang out for a bit longer, see who else joins. Don't forget, 24-hour live stream coming up December 21st. Nice. What is your lodge up to? Do they have like a Christmas party? Do they do things with other lodges, or? I love everybody. Nice. All right. Well, Courtney, You have got to take a picture of your ugly sweater. You have got to take a picture of your ugly sweater and send it to me. I would very much appreciate that. And if you, yes, there's actually a bunch of ugly Masonic sweaters out there, for the record. Um, so if you're looking for, if you want to order something online, I don't know off the top of my head, but if you just type in ugly Christmas Masonic sweater, I promise you, you will find a whole selection. That would be fun. Actually, I should do that as like a what should I call it? A special promotion. Send me a picture of your ugly Christmas sweater. The best ugly Christmas sweater wins something. I don't know what. Maybe a special Christmas gift. I don't have any kids, so that's nice. I get to sleep in on Christmas Day and not have a bunch of kids running up to me and waking me up at 6 in the morning. Having said that, I don't know what my plans are for Christmas at the moment. I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm sure it'll be something a lot of fun though. I'm sure it'll be something good times. Nice. So that's awesome. So you're doing a few different things. Very, very cool. Great, keep up the excellent work. And do you take donations? Like I'm assuming it's Christmas, like winter clothing. I know if you get a lot of snow down there, but you often need people at Christmas time to have, get donations of whatever it might be, toques, mitts, scarves, Christmas jackets. All that stuff is kind of necessary. That'd be a good question. How many of you, and you can put that in the chat, do you have your Christmas tree up yet? Yes or no? Let me know in the chat. Do you have your Christmas decoration, or Christmas, not even Christmas tree, Christmas decoration? Oh, does Jonathan, do you have your Christmas tree up yet? Um, are you one of those? I know like in the rules it was or not in the rules. Like a traditional rule is always you don't put up your Christmas tree until December. But technically it is December 1st. So we could get the Christmas tree up now. So do you go real tree or artificial tree? What is your you say set up, so I'm assuming um artificial. Hey, nothing's wrong with Timu. Timu's great. I remember when I was a kid growing up, one of the things I used to really look forward to was going for Christmas tree shopping. There was this Christmas tree lot off of Regent Avenue. If you're from Winnipeg, you'll know it. And I used to love going there, especially when I was a kid, because I'd crawl around under the trees, and it was like little forts. So I really loved them. That was really, really cool. Hope, I mean, that's thankfully I've never had to expel. Well, I mean, you wouldn't use the term expel. I've never had to remove any brethren from lodge. Um, During a lodge meeting, there have been instances where unfortunately I've seen brethren show up intoxicated and they're asked to leave before the meeting started. But yeah, I mean that sucks. It sounds like he had some things happening in his life, and maybe resigning was for the best. Hopefully, he'll be able, through resigning, to find figure out what was happening in his life, why he was acting that way, and maybe uh, get to a better place. At least that would be the hope. Send me a picture of that too, Courtney. I'd love to see it as well. Well, I mean, eventually my dad switched it from a real to artificial tree, but I did used to really enjoy Christmas shopping for the real trees. That was a special that was a treat. So that is true. By resigning, he does avoid a Masonic trial, but maybe it's for the best. Sometimes it's one of those things where it might be for the best, to resign or to demit. Hopefully, he did it at least with dues owing, though, because if he did it otherwise, that's not cool. But yeah, that's a crummy situation to be in. It's a crummy situation for anyone to be in, but especially for the person who has to do the expulsion. Um, no, I mean I appreciate it. That's one of the things about Freemasonry, right? It's very people forget it's for all the talk of Freemasonry as being some type of special organization and good conduct and et cetera, et cetera. Freemasons are human beings, for better or worse, and that means that comes with all of the foibles and all of the problems and all of the issues and all of the challenges that come with being a human being, including moments and times when you act in a manner that's not appropriate, or you get into fights, or there's conflict, or people fall down. That's just the nature of it, right? There's no organization that's going to ever be able to completely separate itself from those things. All we can do as Freemasons is try to find the best way to deal with it. Um, God bless you. Thank you, Linking Atlas, and bless you as well. And I hope that you have an excellent night. And thank you so much for being here. Um, oh, when are you going to? I don't know how to pronounce that. Kandersteg. I know I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, but when do you plan to be going to that? Because it sounds like it would be. I mean, the Alps at Christmas. I'd imagine it would be incredible. I hope everybody does Linking Atlas. Thank you for that. I hope everybody remembers Linking Atlas. Um, they were. I mean, there's a lot of incredible history and incredible architecture in England, right? It's got beautiful history therein. So that was really, really special, getting a chance to see all of it. And I consider myself, yeah, very lucky that I got to be there. How do you get there, Minotaur? how do you oh, the Masonic temples were beautiful. I shared the pictures, right? Freemasons Hall. I visited three: Freemasons Hall, Halt Whistle Masonic Temple, and sorry, Freemasons Hall, Halt Whistle Masonic Hall, and Freemasons Hall in Edinburgh. Um, Hey, Scotland was incredible. Scotland was beautiful. First of all, Minotaur, I'm happy that you're following me on socials. Um, it gets cold though. I mean, Magic Carpet is great in summer. In winter, I would not want to be traveling on a magic carpet. It would get way too cold. Um, I don't need to. I don't need to freeze to death. You know. Okay, nice. Well, I'm sure it's going to be an absolute blast. Are there any Masonic lodges where you're going that you'd want to visit? I've never been to Ireland, Courtney. I've never been to Ireland. It's on my list, though. I would love to visit Ireland. Love to visit some of the Masonic, the Masonic items in Ireland, the Masonic temples, lodges. I think that would be absolutely incredible. So it's without a doubt on the list of places I want to visit. I was hoping while I was in Scotland to visit the Rosalind Chapel, but sadly, no luck there as well. But it's on my list, again, of places I want to visit. I'd like to even get some Irish Freemasons on here if I could. I'm going to have hopefully some Scottish ones on soon, though, so that should be really, really fun. Minotaur. I'm sure there will be. Hello, 6, 7. I don't know what that means, Mike 22555. But he will keep telling me that it's a kids thing. I hope. Oh, let me get a good stretch in. Mike 22555, that you do take a moment, hit the like and subscribe button while you're doing your 6, 7 sitch. So, Minotaur, it's interesting that you bring that up. What I will say, and this is something I always try to remind Masons of when they're traveling. Yes, you may be traveling at a time when lodges have gone dark, either for the holiday season or for summer, or it may just be that you're traveling at a time when there are no meetings taking place. That doesn't mean, however, that it's still not worth getting in touch with the lodge. They may be willing to meet, a member may be willing to meet you at the building and take you on a tour of the building. Or a member may, maybe he can't meet you that time, but you now have a contact that's been set up, and the next time you're visiting, you can see him, right? Like, even if a lodge is dark, I would still recommend always make the contact and just see what you can do. Heck, even just stop off and knock on the door. There's been so many times I've been traveling, I've stopped off at a Masonic building, knocked on the door. It just so happens there's a brother there, and we chat, we hang out, we talk about, he lets me in, we have a coffee, which is why Masonic buildings should always have coffee available, by the way. But I guess that just is me saying, never be afraid to take a few moments to try to reach out and make contact, if you can, with a brother, or with the building, even if you think they've gone dark, even if they have gone dark. And also, there's been many times when I was told online that a lodge has gone dark, only to then discover that actually, even though they're not meeting, they're having a Christmas dinner or Christmas celebration that just wasn't listed anywhere. So I guess what I'd say is keep those things in mind also. Oh, the kids with their memes. Well, I don't mind if they, I guess I don't mind if they're doing memes because that means at least they're here. So that's something. Yeah, absolutely, Minotaur. That's absolutely right. And that stuff happens all the time. And that's why, again, I always tell guys, carry with you your dues cards, have your letter. You never know when you're traveling, when it is you'll come across some Masonic lodge, or whether there's a meeting happening or not. You never know, right? It's on you to be prepared for that stuff. It's on you to have the information that you need. A lot of places now they have digital dues cards. You don't even need to have the physical copy. I'm a big believer in I'm a big believer in um, belt and suspenders. So what I would say is you should have your digital dues card and you should have your personal dues card. So you'd have your digital dues card and a hard copy, a paper copy of it as well, or physical copy, I should say. But yeah, I know many stories just like that, Jonathan. It's one of the best parts of being a Freemason is the fact that you can do such a thing. I have a cat. I have a cat named Bandit, best cat in the world. Um, I like cats and I like dogs, but I prefer cats because they're so much simpler to get along with. Like, what am I should say? How do I put this? Dogs are great as well, and dogs will be your best friend. But if you travel a lot like me, again, I consider myself a um, traveler, almost a professional traveler in some ways. Having a dog, you have to kennel it or get people. Like, it's very hard. Cats, you can leave them for a week, so long as you have people checking in on them or whatever it is. They're much better at being left on their own. And so for a traveler like me, cats are so much better than dogs. Nice. Oh, it was a great cappuccino. And Minotaur, that's a really good point. Something interesting I always also bring up. Sometimes Masons ask me if I travel with my apron or not. The answer is no, I do not. I do not travel with my apron because normally they have an apron at the lodges. And one of my pieces of advice I always give is travel light, travel far. Um, so I travel without an apron. I just kind of am reliant on the lodge to have one. I've never visited a lodge yet where they did not have an apron for me to borrow. So cats are easy, which is, that's what makes it awesome. Cats are cats are like a disinterested roommate, and I appreciate that. We as Freemasons should always be keeping ourselves moving. I have a husky. I'm sure huskies. I mean, because I heard huskies are pretty needy dogs. Like they're very friendly dogs, and they're very affectionate. But if you leave them alone for like 5 minutes, you have to hear about it for the next hour. So I don't know if huskies are that much like cats. Um, But I had a coworker who had a husky. She would show me pictures of them. They were very cute, but they would be challenging. They'd be very loud, put it that way. Yes, I've heard that husky deep voice. It always cracks me up. Um, I don't know about you, but I will say this for my pet. My cat, if my cat ever could talk, we would be in trouble because my cat knows all of the Masonic ritual, um, inside and out, you know? Because when I was practicing for ritual, I would usually practice to my cat or talk to my cat. So my poor cat has heard all the Masonic rituals a million times. Um, poor thing. I don't know if you, I don't know, Minotaur, if you do the same thing with your husky. And my goddaughter. My goddaughter was a baby, and I'd babysit. I would always read my ritual to them, and they were just a baby, so they couldn't talk back. Once they could start to talk, I had to stop doing that. But you know, for all I know, somewhere deep in my godchild's mind is all the secrets of Freemasonry. Welcome, Fluoride Fountain. I'm talking about Freemasonry. Well, at this point, I'm just hanging out chatting. But I do these streams every Monday through Friday, 1 p.m. as well as 1 a.m. And I talk about Freemasonry. I've been a Freemason since 2007. So, Fluoride Fountain, please hit like, please hit subscribe. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you're doing well. And let me know if you have any thoughts on Freemasonry. And hit that like and subscribe button. Yes, well, dogs will do that. I know many guide dogs who were invested with their owners. It's really, really cool. Actually, I know lodges where every time the brother got a new apron and collar for his office, his guide dog got a new collar and apron as well, which I thought was really, really cool. So, yeah, interesting little tidbit. I think we in Freemasonry should obviously welcome members of all different abilities. That includes members who require service animals, service dogs, whether it be seeing eye dogs or otherwise. And I think as part of that, a big part of that is making the guide dogs, service dogs feel welcome. Welcome back, James Dolan. Good to see you. Fluoride Fountain, how is it going for you? I try my best. I definitely don't always succeed 92, but I do try my best. And I enjoy talking about Freemasonry. You know, it's something I really love. I hate it at times as well. Don't get me wrong; it's a pain in the ass, but it's possible to both love and find something a pain in the butt at the same time. I think most people would agree with that. Good seeing you as well. Not quite normal. Thank you for being here. Many people say I'm not quite normal. Oh, that's the question. I'm a third. So within Freemasonry, talking about degrees, the highest degree is the third degree, which I am. I'm a third degree Master Mason. I'm also a current Worshipful Master. I did join Scottish Rite, and I'm 18th degree Scottish Rite also. Okay, how popular is Eastern Star over in your neck of the woods? I know its popularity here is kind of waning a little bit, but it goes up and down. Well, so Florid Fountain, again, I think you're misunderstanding Freemasonry a little bit there. The idea of it goes higher then. So the way I'm always good, Jody. How are you doing? The way I always describe it, right, is within Freemasonry. So here's the way I would describe it, Florid Fountain. I went to law school, right? I graduated law school, and I got, I'm a lawyer. So, or I was a lawyer. So everybody who graduated law school, we're all equal, right? We're all at the highest level we can be. We're all lawyers. Now, some afterwards chose to become real estate lawyers. Some went into criminal law. Some went into corporate law. And as a part of that, what that meant is everybody had to get different specializations and take different continuing education courses. So, so for example, if you became a real estate lawyer, you had to take real estate classes and you have to be part of real estate boards. If you went into family law, you had to take mediation, whatever it is. But you never say the real estate lawyer is more of a lawyer than the criminal lawyer or the corporate lawyer, or even the person who doesn't practice law but just graduated law school, right? Like they're all of the highest level, which is lawyer, and then it's specializations. The same thing is true with this idea of the highest rank. Once you get your third degree, that's like you've graduated. You can't graduate anymore. You've graduated as high as you can graduate. But then, and that's your third degree. But then you can, if you want, you can join Scottish Rite, you can join York Rite, you can join the Shrine, you can do all sorts of different things, and they have their own degrees and honorifics and titles. But that doesn't make you more of a Mason than, that doesn't make you more of a Mason or a higher level Mason than someone with a third degree. I don't practice, I do this, but I was once upon a time. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed going to law school anyways. So Jody, I hope you're doing well. If you've not done so before, please hit like and subscribe. Oh my gosh, there's so many. There's the Royal Jesters, that's through Shrine if I recall correctly. There's Memphis in Europe. There's a bunch of different ones that go higher, or not higher, that have their own unique titles and degrees, but that doesn't make anybody, that doesn't make, if you're a 33rd degree Scottish Rite, that doesn't mean you're 11 times higher a Mason than the Master Mason, if that makes any sense. By the way, Minotaur, everybody watching this, please take a moment to hit the like and subscribe and consider doing a 99-cent super chat. That helps big times. I did join Scottish Rite. I got up to 18th degree Scottish Rite, Rose Qual. I never got up to consistory. And I may eventually do consistory. But see, they're not higher. They are an appendant body. But that doesn't mean that they are higher in the sense that they have any more authority or sway over Freemasonry than a Master Mason. Not in my experience. I mean, it's like, you need to define better opportunities, Fluoride. Like, I don't know what you mean by that. If you're a Scottish Rite Mason, you have more opportunities within Scottish Rite for Freemasonry. You have more opportunities to attend Scottish Rite regularly. You meet more people. You'll learn more about what's happening within Freemasonry. I mean, all that stuff is really important, but I don't know what you mean by better opportunities. Everything within Freemasonry provides you an opportunity if you're willing to take advantage of it or to try to seize upon it. But it's up to you, right? It's up to the Mason to make that decision. I know entered apprentices who get more out of Freemasonry because they show up all the time and volunteer all the time. I know entered apprentices who get more out of Freemasonry and more opportunities out of Freemasonry than 33rd degrees. Definitely not the case, right? Anybody who joins Freemasonry and joins Scottish Rite or York Rite or Shrine looking for influence and money is going to be very, very disappointed. Right? Freemasonry provides neither. And if anybody is ever, like, you get emails or, people scamming you, if you ever get an email or a message telling you, hey, um, join Freemasonry, you'll get influence, you'll get money, you'll get, riches, they are scamming you, right? Freemasonry will cost you money, not a lot, but it will cost you money. It's not going to bring you in any money, at least not yet. I'm working on it. We'll see. Who knows? Well, I don't think I'm a psychopath, but maybe I am. Who knows? I don't know if there's any. I don't know necessarily what the how one would test for that, but I like to think I'm not a psychopath. Maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? But I think I got my emotions. I think I have emotions. I think they're pretty set. So let me ask you this, Fluoride Fountain. Why do you think that within Freemasonry they only keep psychopaths? How high would you say the degree has to be? Because so I've been a Mason for about 20 years. I have visited or attended over 1,000 Masonic events around the world. The Philippines, South America, North America, Europe. I've attended events with 33rd degree Masons. I've attended Scottish Rite events. I've attended, events in honor of 33rd degree Masons. At no point have I ever came across anything that would make me think that they are, for example, agents of chaos or paid shills or otherwise. So I guess what are you basing your information on versus my experience and my years of being a Freemason? Maybe Rondo, but what I'd say in that case is you need to be hesitant because there is no top position within Freemasonry, right? One of the biggest myths about Freemasonry is that there is a top position because Freemasonry is jurisdictional. So the Grand Master in Ontario is in a top position in Ontario, but that's as far as it goes. He has no authority over any Masons outside of Ontario. And vice versa, that's true for the Grand Master of Texas. So because it's so jurisdictional, it's very hard for anybody to have or to be at a quote-unquote top level in any real sense. We do not control the world stage. In some ways, I'll be honest, I kind of wish that we did a little bit because I think there's a lot of value in Masonic philosophies and ideas that could potentially make the world a better place. But Freemasonry is not about controlling anything or anyone, except, I suppose, one's own passions. You could argue it teaches you skills to control your own passions and ideas, but and control oneself, and to allow the better angels of our nature. But Freemasonry is not about control on any type of global or world stage. Welcome, Dream Seeker. I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well also. Well, the Cold War really had nothing to do. Freemasonry was banned in Russia, so certainly there was no Freemasons on that side of it. On the American side of it, to my knowledge, what were the years of the Cold? Not really, Rondo. That's kind of a myth. UGLE is highly influential, but UGLE can recognize lodges that others do not, and vice versa. It really is jurisdictional. There is no, even UGLE is not a top. It has sovereignty over UGLE itself, but not over lodges in, say, Ontario. Perfect. Took a little while, but you got it. And then in terms of like the presidents, let's say, of America during the Cold War, the one I know of was a Freemason, was Gerald Ford. JFK wasn't. Actually, LBJ was. Excuse me, LBJ was. He was a first degree Mason. And I definitely believe in the glow model. I believe the Earth is round, fluoride fountain, um, or spherical, I should say. That's not a Masonic thing, that's a scientific thing. But we as Freemasons should support science. Dream Seeker, my trip went very well, and I'm very happy that you got your postcard. I hope you enjoyed it. So that's it. So everybody has got their stuff. Next, I got to send something to Michael and something to Mr. Keeps, because they both won. They both won the quizzes for our members exclusive streams. So Michael, I'll probably mail that to you. I just need the best mailing address for you. I mean, sure. Well, I mean, so if you watch Ritual in Texas and you watch Ritual in UGLE, it's very different, as is the Constitution, as are the rules. So UGLE is not a governing body for Freemasonry anywhere outside of UGLE lodges and UGLE jurisdiction. York is very different from Emulation Ritual. UGLE initially established everything because UGLE was the first Grand Lodge. So it was the first lodge that could establish other lodges. But, when, for example, we within Ontario are amending Ritual, it's not being amended with permission from Grand Lodge of England. That's the same thing with Michigan, for example, right? When Michigan amends its Ritual or makes decisions, it's not checking in with UGLE, it's making its own decisions. UGLE can be a guide. Certainly when it comes to recognition, UGLE is often considered a guide as to where and which jurisdictions should be recognized, but it's not required. Territorial sovereignty is actually a very important part of what it means to be a Freemason. And the idea that one jurisdiction, even UGLE, cannot set rules for another jurisdiction. It is, in fact, spherical fluoride fountain. It sounds like you disagree, but so be it. Can't convince them all, Can't convince them all. You can still hit like and subscribe, however it is you may feel. We're going to give this another few minutes. They'll be ending this stream. I will be back on at 1 a.m. and then 1 p.m. tomorrow. And I hope you guys enjoyed learning about my trip, how much fun I had. And hopefully I'll get to see you all tonight at 1 a.m. Well, Stalin was definitely not a Freemason. Roosevelt and Churchill were both Freemasons. I'm not sure, though, to what you're referring with the three-way Masonic. First of all, you can't do a three-way Masonic handshake. That would be, by definition, impossible. Freemason handshake, Stalin, Churchill. So I don't see. Well, I don't know what a chain handshake is. It would not shock me if Churchill and FDR shared a Masonic handshake. They were both Freemasons. FDR was actually a pretty active Freemason. Churchill, not so much. I think he once said something to the effect of, he supports Freemasonry as a buttress from the outside, pushing in, because he never really attended lodge much. Stalin was, Freemasonry was outlawed in Soviet Russia, so I mean, I'm not going to confirm or deny whether there is or is not a Masonic handshake. What I will say is I've not seen any evidence of a quote unquote Masonic handshake between the three of them. Um, so I got nothing on that. I'm not sure what a chain handshake means. I mean, there's the interlocking of arms, which actually some Masons do and some non-Masonic groups do as well. It's a very common kind of practice. You see it popping up in a lot of different groups as a way to just demonstrate what's what I'm looking for. It's a way to demonstrate kind of mutual affection, brotherly love. You see that in fraternities a lot. You see it in a lot of different groups. You can't send links in the chat. Maybe we did, maybe we didn't. All I'll say is we have what are called modes of recognition. I'm not going to confirm what they are, but we have modes of recognition. And those modes of recognition are very important ways. What they are ultimately is like family recipes. They're ways to maintain the bonds of brotherhood between past, present, and future generations. But no, you cannot send a link in the chat. But what you can do, Fluoride, is you can send a link on a video. If you go to one of my videos and you leave a comment, you can leave a chat. Sorry, if you go to a video and you want to leave a comment with a link, you can do that. I don't know what that means. Is this a hell realm? It is not. I mean, I'm rather fond of Earth and this realm. I'm happy to be here, so I would not consider it a hell realm by any means. Like I said, I'm very fond of being here. But we can also do Fluoride Fountain is you can hit like, you can hit subscribe. Let me know how you are doing. And as always, keep in touch. You know, follow me on social media. Follow me on, all my different sites. Sign up for my email blasts, all that good jazz. Thoughts on blood, brain, and I'd rather it not exist. My mom actually passed away from cancer about a year ago, a little bit more. So she was really suffering from it. It was obviously a terrible disease. Anybody who has it, my heart goes out to them. Certainly children who have it, that's particularly terrible. To its credit, Freemasons have done a ton of charitable giving in the realm of cancer. Masonic Charitable Foundations, other groups have donated to researching all sorts of different types of cancers, from prostate to breast cancer to bone cancer. And I think that's one of its greatest strengths is the work it's done. You're even organizing blood drives to donate blood, because when you're going through cancer treatments, blood donations are incredibly important. Well, who's to say those things aren't necessary in some ways? I'm not a huge fan of mosquitoes, leeches, and ticks myself, but I also don't know what goes into creating or what is necessary or not necessary for the world, right? I tend to be a believer in, I think it was St. Augustine, we live in the best of all possible worlds. I tend to believe some version of that. I know it seems strange to say when there's so many terrible things that exist in the world, but maybe those things are necessary. Maybe suffering is necessary for some reason we don't understand. I don't know what it would be. I'm fairly agnostic on that, maybe, but maybe in some ways it's necessary. We just don't understand why. Who knows? Well, definitely. I mean, we know that to be the case. Even if you're a vegetarian, you still have to eat life, right? I mean, plants are alive, vegetables, fruits, all that stuff is life of some sort. You could argue maybe we don't need to be eating life that has a certain level of consciousness, whether it be ability to feel pain or form some type of family connections. I mean, you can get into that whole thing, and that's a debate. But just the question of is life, eating life necessary? I mean, I don't know if anything could live without ingesting something else that's alive or was alive in some form. Well, maybe, but I mean, the question goes, right? Can you define health, happiness, contentment, enjoyment without having an understanding of suffering, right? Um, it's a bit like the reason I know that I am healthy is because I know what disease is. The reason I know that I am happy is because I know what sadness is. If you remove sadness, if you remove suffering from the equation, would we be able to understand happiness? Would we be able to understand joy? Because even when you talk about mosquitoes, leeches, and ticks, you're actually not talking about removing suffering from the world. You're talking about removing types of suffering. Suffering itself is a category, right? It's not a thing. Because even if you remove mosquitoes, leeches, and ticks, there'd be other things that would cause suffering. You know, when you remove those things, there'd be other things. Suffering is not a thing that can be removed from the world. It's a category in which things are placed. It's kind of like water is not wet, it makes things wet, right? Suffering does not suffer, it causes things to suffer. Well, everything is recycled everywhere. Law of what conservation of energy, thermodynamics. Yeah, I exist right now. There are a bunch of atoms in my body. Eventually, I will die. My body will rot. Everything will be returned to the universe. That's a very stoic philosophy, Floyd Fountain, right? Which is, I really like it. Nothing belongs to you, not even your body. It belongs to the universe, and eventually it shall return to the universe. Hello, Big C431. I hope that you're doing well. Thank you for being here. By the way, everybody watching this, I hope you'll consider doing a super chat, just 99 cents. You can hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Join me back here at 1 a.m. And yeah, I hope everybody's doing very well, as always. But I think maybe one thing in Freemasonry, we are kind of, one of the philosophies, the ideas is we remember kind of that just because we're suffering today doesn't mean we're going to be suffering tomorrow. And we should try our best as much as possible to not become too despondent in times of sadness, nor become too excited or too presumptuous in times of success, which I would say is a very fair point. I mean, I don't know what degradation realm is. I mean, if I could live forever as I am now, I might be interested. If I'm in a constant state of degradation, then probably not. Eventually, I'd want to move on to something else. It's that whole be careful what you wish for, right? This idea of wanting to live forever. It seems very popular, but I don't know. It seems like it might come with a lot of unintended consequences as well. So. That's good, Fluoride Fountain. I hope that I guess what I'll say is, however it is that you're here, I hope that you will stick around. And I definitely hope there's no fire and brimstone in your future. There's plenty to love. I don't know about that. I'd say that's a little bit. I mean, even if not people, there's the sky, which is quite beautiful. There's rainbows. There's, I don't know. There's good food. There's coffee. Um, there's animals to pet. I think there's plenty in the world to love. I understand, it can sometimes feel tough and hard, but I think there's things in the universe that we can love. And I hope you find something. Heck, I love Freemasonry. Don't get me wrong, it can be a pain in the butt, but I still think, it's tough. It's like everything in life. Doesn't have to mask the suffering. It just has to. I wouldn't even call it masking. I think the beauty exists and the suffering exists. They both exist, right? And to a certain extent, hopefully, what you can do is turn your head to the beauty, because you'll always find it. Well, I hope. I like to think even. I'd hope that. Everybody gets a shot, and human beings aren't demons, so I hope there's no eternal suffering for them. At least that's my hope. We'll see what happens. I don't claim to know everything by any means, right? But that's a whole separate can of tuna altogether. We're going to give this another, let's say, 5 minutes. That's fair. And then I hope that you try to help people, right? There's lots of resources and services to help people who've been victims of whatever it might be, of crime, of harm. If they're suffering, there's places they can call. There's people they can go to get support. And it's good for people to care. So you could argue probably caring is one of those things that in some ways is very under there's not enough caring in the world. So thank you for all the likes and all the subs. All right, I think we'll end. I would just be very careful, fluoride. I'm not one who believes in demons, anything like that. But what I would say is maybe your focus should be on helping those get help and get support, and talk to doctors, talk to nurses, talk to friends. Focus on that as opposed to fighting anybody else would be my humble opinion. With that, thank you everybody who joined. It's been a blast. I'm going to end this stream. I will be back at 1 a.m. I hope to see you all then. And thank you, Courtney, for being here as well. And I'll talk to everybody soon.